right, I'm going to shoot this to you from my phone.
We're just fine.
Kevin, I got to find it. Okay, let me read this here, 'cause then I got to.
Yes, yeah, Louie, good to see you. Yeah, okay, let's make it happen. Oh my gosh, great, great. Maybe we can put you on to speak. If you're up to it. That would be great, Louie.
Make sure when you're saying this parent that you know it's your parent thing.
We got 30 minutes. Yeah, no. No, I mean, we got 30 minutes total to work with. Oh, that's right. We do have an hour. All right, never mind. Why was I thinking 30 minutes? Can we make it 30 minutes?
There you go.
All right, perfect. All right, we're good. All right, good evening. This is the Gary Sansing Public Forum, June 2nd, 2022, 4:30 p.m. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. The Gary Sansing Public Forum is intended for matters not included on the agenda for the upcoming Board of County Commissioners meeting. Citizens wishing to address items on the agenda should sign up to speak to such an item at the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other behavior which interferes with the orderly conduct of the Gary Sansing Public Forum. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, which we will have tonight, unless otherwise determined by the chairman to allow sufficient time for all speakers. At the chairman's discretion, the Gary Sansing Public Forum may end 5 minutes prior to the scheduled start of the upcoming Board of County Commissioners meeting to allow the meeting to commence on time. This evening, thus far, we have 19 speakers, so I would ask that you keep your comments concise. You will have 3 minutes. That doesn't mean you have to use it all. And we look kindly on folks who leave time on the clock. 3 minutes, because we got an hour. Got 19 speakers. So I'll call you up, and then I'll call up the next speaker behind you. So the speaker that I call second, please be prepared. Maybe make your way up to the front and be prepared to come in. First speaker tonight, Kathleen Boyle. Kathleen Boyle, followed by Linda Lewis. Good evening.
Hey,
Hi.
my name is Kathy Boyle. I live at 1285 Finley Drive. What has the county done to improve the drainage on Finley Drive? When I get 7 or more inches of rain over a 2-day period, I cannot flush, shower, or do laundry. I double bag 2 grocery bags, place them in a bucket, and I poop in that. I take a cold shower with a garden hose, and I wash uniforms in a wash tub. Actually, I do not need to wash uniforms anymore because I just retired from 45 years of nursing. I started at the old University Hospital by our old jail, and then finished up with 40 years at Sacred Heart Hospital. I moved to Finley Drive 40 years ago because it was a quiet, safe neighborhood. Now, with the possibility of 180 townhomes being built right down the street, I am scared. I am scared for my safety, my public safety, my home, and my belongings. There will be hundreds of more people and cars traveling past my home on our quiet little street. This is not how I imagined my retirement days would be. I hope that the county can help us, and I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Next up, Linda Lewis, followed by Pamela Weirick. Pamela Weirick, you're up. Followed by Shirley Pirates.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I apologize, I'm legally blind, so my husband's going to be beside me, and someone actually large printed this
Okay.
because of my disability.
Yes, ma'am.
This is my first board meeting. However, we met with Commissioner Underhill to consider our flooding problems proven to be the result of Schooner Landing subdivision. Commissioner, you told us, Ricky, yep, this is a no-brainer. This flooding is coming directly from the development across from your home. Our commissioner was in shorts and flip-flops at that time, and I was pretty impressed that he came to take the time to see what our flooding was happening. We scheduled a meeting with the Development Services Department asking for help with the negative flooding impacts from the construction of the subdivision improvements. When we met Kevin Blanchard more than once, he tried. Rain now floods Weller Road, drains directly into our property, negatively impacting our neighborhood. Before the first lot was graded and home built, the contractor pumped 24/7 all the water on their property that continued to flood on their east side of Weller. It's a swamp. It's a no-brainer. We request you do the right thing, fix the flooding. Escambia County permitted this drainage problem on November 6, 2019, accepted the improvements at BCC July 26, 2021, and has harmed our neighborhood. Your land development code does not protect our neighborhood. Now, we're being told, too late, too sad, too bad. No, we are not accepting that answer. We need to protect our home. The appropriate steps were not taken when we flood. At the very beginning, mud kept flowing from the lots graded much higher than our property. No-brainer. You can see, I apologize.
You're all right.
You can see the slope. Photos show the first home sales office dumped on Weller Road. The first home, flowing water and mud, flooding our property from the Weller Road ditch under our fence. Flooding continues down Weller, Gulf Beach Highway, flooding our yards on Mars Drive. Just one rain, not even a hurricane. I sent a message to the home builder, and I demanded, and they responded. They demanded the supervisor unplug those drainage. Mr. Blanchard even had visited them and asked them to do that. They unplugged them, and as soon as they left, they plugged them back up. Who has accountability? This created a true flood problem for our neighborhood. It is a swamp, Jones Swamp, and ponds have completely filled with natural drainage way to Jones Farm,
Ma'am,
Swamp.
my apologies, but you've run through your time. Can you please finish your remarks?
Pardon?
You've run out of time. Can you please just wrap your remarks up? We have
Okay.
a lot of speakers.
All right. I just ask you all if you can help,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
that if somebody would pay attention and say, I'm anticipating some future results, because as of the last 3-day rain, we flooded again in our house.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
Yes, ma'am, you too. Shirley Pirates, followed by Thomas Pirates.
Hi, my name is Shirley Pierretts. I live at 1385 Finley Drive. I am speaking today in opposition to the proposed Thompson Bayou Villas. As you may be aware, Pensacola receives the second highest rainfall in the United States, according to the Climate Corporation. I recently learned that the reference for the 100-year flood event in this proposed development is data from 1960. As the intensity, frequency, and duration of rain events have increased over the last 62 years, it would be helpful to use more recent information, such as the NOAA Atlas 2014 data. This newer data shows rainfall of 16.2 inches, which is approximately 2 3/4 inches more than the 1960 data of 13.44 inches. This is an increase of 20% over the last 62 years, and it points to the need to have retention ponds that are big enough to avoid flooding. Because Pensacola has so much rainfall, the neighborhoods surrounding this proposed development have high water tables and natural springs, and multiple neighbors, including those adjacent to the proposal, currently have sanitation problems. I respectfully request that you direct staff to recalculate the stormwater models using the NOAA Atlas 14 data. I believe this will give critical insight into possible insufficiency of the proposed stormwater retention ponds. Why do we start out a development with retention ponds that are undersized in a neighborhood that already has water challenges? Miscalculations with these retention ponds will likely flood residents. The old saying rings true: an ounce of prevention is truly worth a pound of cure. We do appreciate all that you and your staff are doing, and we recognize there are staffing issues and that this request will take some staff time. However, the insight provided by this data to avoid significant future costs would seem to be well worth the current investment of manpower. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, Thomas Puritz, followed by Peter Baranich.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Thomas Puritz, and I live at 1385 Finley Drive. I am here today to support my neighbors in their attempt to prevent damage to their homes and property that will be created without modification to the proposed Thompson Bayou Villas development. I came to you today as a professional, where I serve the community through my dental office on University Parkway. As a professional, I am responsible for holding myself to a high level of ethical standards. First and foremost, I am committed to the concept of do no harm, meaning if I cannot improve my patient's health, then I definitely do not want to make it worse. As a community, we also hold our county commissioners to a high level of ethical standards and ask that you serve to protect our community from potential harm where you have the ability to prevent the harm. Thompson Bayou Villas may appear to improve the community. However, without planned modification, it will create harm to my neighbors. Wanda Smith will suffer damage if they are allowed to put 20 units on her property line. A reasonable buffer zone can reduce that harm. Neighbors having basic sewage sanitation problems will experience more harm if Thompson Bayou Villas are constructed without adequate rainwater retention ponds. Wood Run community will experience damage from flooding of roads, yards, and possibly homes, as those residents already cannot travel the road or out of their homes after heavy rains. Additional harm will occur without an adequate drainage system for water runoff. Stormwater runoff must be addressed. We placed our trust in you through our votes on Election Day, that you would protect our rights as citizens as well as our properties under your jurisdiction. We elected you to intercede with the Development Review Committee on our behalf and stop some of these harmful conditions from being approved. Please do not violate the trust we have bestowed upon you as protectors of our rights and property. Please put limitations on the Thompson Bayou Villas development such that it will not cause harm to our existing communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Puritz. Peter Buranich, followed by Will Smith.
Hello, my name is Peter Branich. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm originally from West Virginia. I moved to this area for the quality of life. Having been a general contractor and excavator, subdivision development experience, I come to people this evening with concern. Last week in Santa Rosa County, experienced flooding issues due to generalized rainstorm. New subdevelopments in the area experienced some major flooding and drainage system failures. With over 300 pages of code, standing operating procedures, and practices, this is alarming. I don't know what happened here, but I can only imagine. I bring this up because during the storm, I was attending the Santa Rosa Board of Commissioners meeting. The new home next door to my home was filling up with runoff from the rain event. It has not subsided, and Mosquito Joe let me know today that this is an absolute perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes. I digress. Just so happened on May 26th, the National Home Builders Association had a presentation to the board about the statistics for growth from Baldwin County all the way to Jacksonville, the entire panhandle. He was very candid and stated that Escambia and Santa Rosa counties are 1 and 2 in growth. He also stated that the populations will double in 10 years, given this trajectory. He said This is unsustainable. Given the rate of building in our area, residential, commercial, etc., he's right. I'll read the mission statement of the county board. It reads as follows. The mission of Escambia County government is to provide efficient response services that enhance our quality of life, meet common needs, and promote safety within a healthy community. So, whose needs being met? What is the intent of the commission in response to this alarming rate of development in our area? And what will be the cause and effects for this expansionism? Our infrastructures cannot take this burden. Our schools, our roads, water, sewage, drainage systems, land, and environment can't take it. The idea of smart development, smart government thesis needs to be exposed for what it is. It's a revenue enhancement scheme to pay for infrastructure that has not been maintained properly, built to overcapacity, reducing the current population to more taxes and more borrowing. Borrowing in the hopes that the scheme will pay off. It won't, as proved by countless failed communities developed under the guise of prosperity. This last 2 years of economic development has not subsided. It's growing worse. My taxes have gone up, and therefore my insurance rates have gone up. It's become dramatic. We're having a total collapse of the system. Our central government's actions today will surely result in another 2.8, 2.10 catastrophe.
Mr. Buranich, you got to wrap it up. You're out of time.
All right. I urge you to have us all fall victim to overpopulation, reduced services and development by Wall Street firms with political ties.
Okay, thank you, sir. Will Smith, you're up, followed by Jerry Price on deck.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening.
My subject is the same as it was the last time I was down here about the activity going on in the communities. And I just wanted to know what kind of program have you implemented in the community to cut back on these criminal activities and things like that pertaining to the youth in the community. I heard mention that it was some program implemented, but I'm not aware of them. So I'm wondering if there's any kind of way that I can get this information out, get this information from you guys, so I could be able to spread it in the community, so these youth will have somewhere to go besides tending to crime activity and things of that nature.
Sure. We can have our neighborhood services department get with you if you'd like.
Okay, I failed to mention my address. It's 205 Northeast Street,
Yes, sir.
Pensacola. I would like that information if possible because it was mentioned, but I don't see it mentioned on television or anything like that.
Not a problem. Wes, can you have a staff member get with this gentleman? And
You know, I was wondering why Channel 3 doesn't cover it and let the community know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Because we have some terrible situations around here going on
Yes, sir.
each and every day.
Tim,
Well,
Tim, will you get his information so that I can pass it along?
I appreciate it.
Tim Day is going to get with you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Jerry Price, you're recognized. Followed by Eric Sharplin on deck.
Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I have questions, 4 of them, basically. What does it take to create an ordinance or strengthen it? Say nuisance from car music noise on private property like Circle K, gas station. What does it take to create an ordinance on no panhandling at intersections? Explaining further, Lee County, Florida made an ordinance on no panhandling at intersections, not on soliciting, but based on safety. The county judge ruling that no panhandling at any intersection in Lee County due to a homeless man getting killed by motorists when he stepped in front of a vehicle. 3, can the commissioners have any influence on radar being run on Jackson Street between New Warrington Road and 49th Avenue? 4, do commissioners, mainly Doug Underhill, have any influence in how Jackson Street will be handled if the consultant plans include little to none of the things people ask for, like lighting, crosswalks, lower speed limits, storm drains on both sides of Jackson Street, sidewalk on the north side only, not 2 sides, and turn lanes, no parking on the sides of the road. And Mr. Underhill, I wish you the best in your career in the future.
Thank you very much,
gentlemen.
sir. May I? Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman?
please, yeah.
I specifically want to speak to the Jackson part. Unfortunately, no, we don't have a whole lot of influence with regard to the speed traps. Contact the sheriff's office, that is, and everybody on Jackson Street, contact the sheriff's office, get those speed traps up. People oftentimes want speed bumps. Speed bumps don't really do anything, but speeding tickets do. So, by all means, contact the sheriff's office and get them out there for that. With regard to the Jackson Street Complete Streets, this is a project that will be completed after my period of service. You've got 3 men running to take this seat after me. Make sure you hold them to task to understand the Jackson Street Complete Streets project. Make sure you ask them hard questions between now and Election Day, okay? Because that project is not a real big moneymaker, right? There's no rich donors on Jackson Street, okay? It's the kind of project that'll fall off the radar if the citizens there don't demand that it stay on the radar. And you've got to do that during this election process. So by all means, I beg that the citizens, Jackson Street Complete Streets took us a long time to get here. We're getting to the point where we're about to put shovels in the ground. Let's keep the foot on the gas until it gets over the finish line, which will exceed my time on this office.
Yes, sir. I'll see you all in the future. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here tonight. Eric Sharplin, you're recognized. Ma'am, I'm sorry.
This is Linda Lewis. You called me when I was coming in the door.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, well, you'll go to the end of the rotation.
Pardon?
I've called up Mr. Sharplin.
Okay.
I'll
so-
bring you back up.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Eric, you're recognized. Followed by Jedrick Horn.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. What I want to quote for you tonight is some quotes off of the ECW site. I have copied them and texted them, and they are accurate. They are not my words, but the commissioners. And there's 4 of them, and I just want to go on with y'all. The first one is, oh, please. I raised a legitimate concern about campaigns or run. You got to come out and got to come rush to defense your guy. You know.
Eric, you got to speak into the mic. You were cutting out. You got to speak into the, there you go.
Okay, sorry. And if he says he's good as you say he is, he should be able to defend his position on the wife of a commissioner getting a sweet salary by an organization that receives tax dollars from the board on which her husband sits. Any person of character knows this is wrong. In the case of Burgash, her salary is $60K. The county contribution, $100K. The organization never asked for any money until Mrs. Burgash got the gig. Of course, Jeff abstained, but after watching each of them abstain in turn, but vote for the legal defense of each other, I think all pretense of integrity has dried up. Now, welcome to the self-licking ice cream cone of the see and be seen class of local politics. Meanwhile, our roads and bridges sunk, fire trucks break down en route to fires, and EMS is holding calls, but aren't we all pretty? Next, yes, but being good enough people is not enough to do the job. The issue of handouts to outside agencies is a big deal, as it is the purchase of influence of public dollars. Mike Kohler, that's who what all this is about, is wanting to join a board in which 4 of 5 county commissioners are enriching their lives, 3 by the 401A, 1 via a cush job for his wife. District 2 has been represented for nearly 8 years by the only one who's willing to stand against that, the only one to turn down the pay raise, the only one to opt out of the gas allowance. Republican and voters expect better. I am very upset by this because he keeps talking about, the licking thing. If he gets the legal fees back, Mr. Chair, where does that money come from?
Yep. Okay, well, you're out of time. I appreciate it. But thank you for being here.
Oh, can I finish up or do I have more time?
We're out of time. We're out of time. We got a lot of speakers. Thanks for being here, Eric.
Okay.
And I would say whoever wrote that's an idiot, right? Whoever
Well,
wrote
he's sitting
that
beside
is an
you.
idiot. Well, that's exactly right. I stand by my comments. Stan McDaniel, you're up.
Good evening. Stan McDaniels, 5931 Mona Lane. I'm a proud American, a dad, and a good neighbor. I'm also an honest, hardworking citizen. I grew up here in Pensacola and have watched since my youth how the corruption, the lack of accountability, and the lack of transparency in our local county government has negatively impacted our community at large. Today, violent crime in Pensacola is 1.5 times greater than the national average. Human trafficking is on the rise, and we are on the edge of a homelessness crisis. These issues, if not addressed, will eventually make it impossible for the good, hardworking citizens to live safely and raise their families. So today I'm here asking that we get the conversation started on HB 7065 to get funding for responsible fathers. I'm also asking that we take the lead from our governor and designate June Responsible Fatherhood Month in Escambia County. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I yield my time.
Okay. Next up, Lisa Hudson, followed by George Levy.
Hi, my name is Lisa Hudson. I live at 1234 Finley Drive. The Thompson Bayou townhomes will be adjacent to the 5 acres that I own, actually butting up to the side of my property. We've had some problems with the septic tank and bubbling toilets and coming up through the shower. We've had it pumped out, and we still occasionally have times where the toilet won't flush. But one of the other things that is a big concern is the water flows over my driveway into Miss Brown's yard and floods her house, which she's at 1475 Finley Drive. So that's the concerns that I have, but I'm also here up to read something for someone else.
Sure.
It is for Shelley Hayes, and she lives at 1440 Finley Drive. The property is located directly across from the Finley entrance of the Thompson Bayou development. And she wants to speak about the water problems. Rising water tables have become worse within the last 4 or 5 years. Every time it rains, we have problems. When the water table rises in our backyard, it goes into our drain field lines, which causes backflow into our septic tank. Our septic tank stays full 99.9% of the time. When our septic tank is pumped, it fills right back up within days. We have spent thousands of dollars ensuring that our septic tank lines are cleared of buildup, roots, or debris. We have installed our own drainage system. Our toilets do not flush correctly. Our showers do not drain. There are wet areas in our yard. We have to vent the clean out to release the pressure and buildup of the water until we can pump the tank again. Every time we do laundry, run the dishwasher, take a shower, or flush the toilet, there is backup coming up and gurgling. We must announce every time we do these typical activities to avoid nasty problems. Not healthy. Last week, we had 14 inches of rain under our home due to the rising water table and storm water runoff, especially from south to north, flooding our yard. We have brought in and spread truckloads of dirt to hopefully deter it away from our house. This has not helped. We had to get rid of rising water under the house by getting an excavator to install pipe from the lowest part under the house to the culvert in the front yard just this week. We are fighting an uphill battle of our own. County experts looked at our property. They see water problems, recommend fixes. We have to fix the problem with our own money. We are not optimistic that anybody will help if this development goes in. It will make our water issues worse.
Thank you. Thank you. Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you. George Levy, you're recognized, followed by Wanda Smith.
Hello, Commissioners. George Levy. I have several concerns. One is, in the past, there was a topic about new public housing construction, and are there houses that are still standing that were built the same year as the previous public housing was built? What was the difference? Why does the public housing need to be replaced and the other buildings are fine? Emergency Management Agency. I've expressed concerns in the past about storm prep guide. I doubt they have been addressed regarding sandbagging and complete list of needed supplies. I would also like to think EMAs along the coast have a lot more experience with events and have some experience, lessons learned that they should implement instead of waiting for the feds. If you are not the lead dog, the view is always the same.
That's true.
Flooding, repeat problems, boomerang projects. If there is a flood problem, it is fixed, and then flood problem appears again, boomerang, need to fix it again. I've heard notes about this NOAA data, 16 inches. That's woefully inadequate. Why not 2 or 3 times that? You should be considering rainfall events of 40 inches or more. Was it really fixed the first time? Was there a waste of taxpayer money? Makes you wonder if these involved really know what they are doing. Boomerang examples, Lake Charlene. Is this the latest design going to fix and be adequate? Chemstrand Road, pond west of the road, washed away back 7-8 years ago. Repair started 2 years ago. During the repair, another storm washed out that. Does anyone know what they're doing? Is ESC making more problems at taxpayer expense? Spanien County, planning and zoning. Another new example I see is a new development on the westward off of Roberts Road and the west end of Roberts. Is this going to be another new problem? Street goes straight down to a lots on the very end. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Jedrick Horn. Is Jedrick Horn here? We called him. No Jedrick Horn? Oh, is that, okay, you're recognized.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing
Ready?
today?
How are you doing?
I just want to apologize. Last time I was here before y'all, it kind of didn't go the way I expected things to go. But I'm pretty much here, the same thing the other gentleman said. I would like to have some information on what's going on to try to do something about the violence and the chaos that's going on in Pensacola. Last time I was here, I didn't come down here on a personal vendetta, so to speak. Commissioner May and I, we do know each other. We grew up together. We're from the same neighborhood. I went to see him probably about a year back with my same concerns that I'm here for now. I've never heard anything from him, so that's what led me here. So my main goal is just pretty much to try to see what we can resolve, come together, maybe have some type of rallies or do something about the violence that's going on. Because I've been in Pensacola all my life. And right now, this city is a war zone. It's bad. So if you can pretty much point me in the same direction that you pointed the other gentleman, any kind of help or anything that can help impact the community, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Tim Day is right there. He can get the same information to you that we got for the previous gentleman.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight. All right, Wanda Smith is up, followed by Gail Roten.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Wanda Smith. I live at 1435 Finley Drive. My house, my home, is the one that's going to be directly affected by 20 townhomes that are going to be built along the back side of me and up one side. I am at the very bottom of a watershed that comes down off of the hill. And now, if we build this, I'm going to be at the very bottom of that. What is going to happen to my land, my property? Am I going to be flooded? What's going to happen to my septic tank? It's already in danger. I'm a single person. I don't use a lot of water. And this just seems like an awful lot to put on one person. I do not see any drainage easement plans on that they have turned in. There's no buffering. There's no lines drawn. They're going to build right on the property line. I request that you direct your staff to examine how the new development is going to handle existing stormwater. It's already bad. It runs through my driveway. And it's built up in the back of my yard. I used to have a 4-foot chain link fence back there. Now you can step over it because of the silt that is washed through there. I understand that some of the commissioners were back there. They walked over the property, they saw it, and but I did not see them. There are endangered things back there that I think that needs to be addressed, but that's a little bit lower on the list than what you want. The developer should provide a green belt of trees and shrubbery to absorb some of this rainoff that we're going to have. And I think it should be in the plans. It is not in the plans. I thank you for your time. I know that I'm the crazy lady that talks about the red-tailed hawk and the turtles and stuff like that. But folks, we need to look at that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Wanda. Gail Roten, followed by Anita Geinert. We're just running out of time.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Gail Roten. I live at 1290 Finley Drive. I've lived there since the early 70s. Can't actually remember the exact date right now. But, okay. You see photos up here of our road when it rains. The groundwater coming around the corner to the Neelys, Miss Wanda's house, and the Hayeses is your first picture right there. Water approaching Miss Wanda's house. Video. Okay, there's a video on that she's showing right now in the middle picture there. Do what? You're showing. Oh, well, you're looking at, so I'm talking up here. The water approaching Wanda Smith's house, she will have 2 uninterrupted rows of 2 to 3 inches, 2 to 3 story townhomes. It's going to L shape around her house. Her whole house, basically, except for one side, is going to be surrounded by these townhomes when they put them up. So you can imagine that a 3-story home just looking right down on top of you. That's not acceptable to me. The Hayeses have septic tank problems, and their house had more than 12 inches of water in this crawl space after the rain. That's the last picture there. That's the last video that's showing now. So there's just, I know you guys, I've been here to most of these meetings, and you've heard this over. We feel like we're, we know you're listening, but we kind of feel like we're beating a dead horse. This is a problem. We appreciate Mr. Bender. He's come out, he's met with us, He's been wonderful to us. This is an awful problem, and it's not going to go away. By putting these, I think it's 183 or 185 units that are supposed to go in that area that they're going to be building, that's just going to add to this issue. That's just going to add, it's going to compound it by a million times. The drainage out there is horrible already. The water table, I didn't know, it was my first home I ever bought, and when I first got this house, I didn't know it wasn't normal to have your septic tank pumped out once a year because the water table is that high. And I just thought that was something that was normal. It's no different now. I mean, it's horrible. You can go out there to work in your flower bed or your garden and dig down the length of your little hand shovel that you're using, and you're hitting water. And it's coming up enough that the kids can take it by the bucket and dump it out and play in it while you're digging in it. So, I mean, this is just an ongoing issue. It's,
And ma'am, your time has expired.
well, I appreciate everything.
Yes,
You know,
ma'am.
anything you guys can do for us, we
Absolutely.
do appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anita, you're recognized, followed by Ruth Lyons.
Thank you. Anita Gaynor, 1395 Finley Drive, opposing Thompson Bio Townhomes. Hello, y'all. So the other day, we were blessed with the big rainfall, just 5 to 7 inches. So we decided that we have existing water problems. We know that. Sorry, I'm having to do my own AV here. And so we decided that we have them right now. We have them at Lake Chateau Estates. There's a problem with their retaining pond. We're there on Finley Drive. That water comes down through us, and then it gets added. Ours gets added over to JoJo Road, and then it goes over to Wood Run subdivision. So when it rained, the sluice, Anita and Jean, we got in the car, got our Crocs on, and we went to see where the water went. So I've got a map up here. The yellow is kind of like showing you where the different little lakes are. So one of them on the left is Dr. Ted Traylor. That's his lake. And over here is Lake Chateau. Then we've got Wood Run. And then you see JoJo West Side. There's a little lake there, the Bennett Pond. So she's gonna talk to you about the Finley Drive part. She just did, and we're gonna also have 2 different people come up here and talk to you about the other parts. So I wanted to tell you that we appreciate your time. We know that it's valuable, and we're just trying to make sure you realize how serious we're taking this. And so we don't want a dense neighborhood that's going to cause more flooding in our neighborhood. And so we've been thinking about it. Maybe we need a community meeting with the engineering staff, the development staff, and the developer to discuss the impact of that townhome project on our neighborhood, to gain a better understanding of how they plan to mitigate this water problem, and to discuss ways they can reduce the negative impact of their development on our existing communities. And look, I was at 2 minutes. I was ready.
You did great. That's fantastic.
Give my time back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We need it. Ruth Lyons, you're recognized, followed by Deanna Redleski. Probably about 15, 16.
Hello, my name is Ruth Lyons. I live at 1240 Finley Drive. We bought our home 15 years ago, and we were so proud to find this beautiful neighborhood. I'm not a speaker, as you can see. During Hurricane Sally, the little creek by our house overflooded over the road. And it just breaks my heart to see our beautiful neighborhood endure the problems that this development, that I know we can't stop, but that will bring. And the water needs to be addressed. So we had a well drilled, and they hit water just a few feet. And the driller told us, said, well, I'm not out here to drill a 2 or 3 foot well. Anyway, I do thank you for your time, and hope that you will address our problem.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Jean Brown's Okay, Gene Brown's house, the water drainage from our subdivision runs alongside of the road. Part of it goes into the proposed townhouse property and then dumps out into Gene Brown's property. How much will she get from the townhomes? And also, my neighbor across the street, Dr. Traylor, has a large spring-fed pond that overflows and runs into the creek during heavy rains. It became a Russian river in two separate areas, which goes into the creek headed toward the development lot and JoJo West Side. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Deanna Rydleski, followed by Charles Luther.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
know you got a lot to speak. Robert, are you aware of this issue, and are you addressing it at this time? Because you'll have my full support, and certainly one of the speakers, but you'll have my support in trying to give some relief to the people. So are you aware of all of this?
I'd say we're, as we meet more with them, I've been on site and addressed some of the flooding things. Of course, these videos are new. I haven't seen these, but have been talking with the homeowners about their fear of the potential development in the adjoining property.
Okay. So you'll find my support, and if the development is adversary to existing homes, you'll find my support in making sure that the existing homes are not flooding.
All right, thank you. You're recognized.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Dee Rydleski, and you know the story of Biomarcus Tributary B. The only thing I really want to say, I did write out something, but I think I'll change it. I found out later this afternoon that Lake Charlene Phase 2 is a possibility, and what that means to us is hopefully that'll get going, and then Bridle Trail can follow, and then the breadcrumbs will lead us to where it needs to go, down the creek. So you guys can figure out where our blockage is and what our needs need to be met. You know I'm a squeaky wheel. I'm not going to go away. I'm going to see you guys once a month, twice a month. I don't have a problem speaking up for our neighborhood. We need your help. I know you guys are short-staffed. We all know the money. We got to follow that. We have to prove where it's being spent. I'm still trying to understand about the FEMA maps. Why do they show that we don't flood? Well, if we don't flood, why does my mortgage holder want us to have flood insurance? There's so many questions about flooding. I think if we all work together and we get some kind of start, it doesn't have to be finished tomorrow, but some kind of start to figure out the vulnerability in the creek, I think that would help us all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Charles Luther, followed by Julie Luther.
Yes, my topic this evening is American family planning. And many of you know, I think, at least you've read the articles online. They were rather brief, but I encourage you to read the full report. The Agency for Healthcare Administration in our state here, the state of Florida, issued an 18-page report. You can get it online. Just search details of the emergency suspension order for the misnamed American family planning. You can leave off the word misnamed, and you might get better search results. But truly, it should be called American family murdering. This abortion mill in our county has, as the liberals boast in their articles across the country, this abortion mill in Escambia County has serviced, quote unquote, over 100,000 women. And you can check that, because I checked it. It's true. There's blood on our hands, people. May God have mercy upon us. You see, less than 2 weeks ago, the Agency for Healthcare Administration issued an emergency suspension order. And as I said, you take time to read it. But I want to just highlight a few things. Patient number 1, and I read from the report, May 5th, 2022. The pregnancy was a 19.6-week pregnancy. I'm just going to rush through this. The procedure was discontinued prior to completion with the physician documenting cervical laceration and possible uterine rupture. Goes on and says the medical record documents the patient needed an exploratory laparoscopy and possible cesarean section. And then the report goes on. I'm going to skip again. It says that the medical record contains no record of the discharge, and upon discharge from the facility, the patient's spouse was directed to drive the patient to a hospital in Mobile, Alabama, despite the spouse's expressed desire to deliver the patient to a local Pensacola, Florida hospital. The patient was admitted to the Mobile, Alabama hospital the next morning, May 6th, 1:05 a.m. The report also states that it was around midnight that they left the Pensacola murder mill. So a little over an hour, arrived in Mobile. Folks, this is a gospel issue, the gospel of Jesus Christ. He has died for sinners, and he has said, repent and believe the gospel. He has died for sinners. Believe that he has died and that he rose from the dead.
Thank you, Mr. Luther. Next up, Julie Luther.
I was saddened 2 weeks ago to hear of the 3 women who suffered such serious injuries at the local abortion mill. I'm saddened by the hundreds of thousands of babies that are killed every year in this nation and the thousands that have been killed in this county. Women driving from multiple states to come here to murder their preborn children. That's not something we want Escambia County to be known for. I'm saddened to think that the revenue of the taxes of the murder of babies has been gladly accepted by this county to pay for salaries and etc. I'm glad the abortion mill is closed. I praise the Lord for that. But I'm grieved by the great expense of human tragedies that it has cost. The lives of babies, the wrecked lives of women who live daily with emotional scars and guilt because of what they have done. I pray that this county will become a sanctuary for the preborn, that this abortion mill will never be allowed to reopen, and that action would be taken to prevent other abortion mills from opening here, that our hands would be washed forever from the innocent blood that has been shed in this county from the murder of preborn children. We are guilty of that blood if we don't stand up for the helpless. What will you do to stop this murder? Please, make Escambia County a sanctuary for the preborn.
Thank you very much. Victoria Griffin, followed by Shirley Tilney. Hello.
I had a whole bunch of stuff prepared for y'all, but I really just have a question for Commissioner Bender. Will you arrange for a community town hall to have the developer, the landowner, and the engineer all there for us so we can discuss all these flooding issues and all the impact that's happening with all of these townhomes that are supposedly trying to be developed? There are just so many issues. We don't have enough time of the day to address every issue that is coming forward. You all have seen the flooding in Wood Run. She's got pictures up here too. One of the neighbors, I recently found out that when Governor's Gate was built, they had to install a drainage system in their backyard because of all the water runoff. Wood Run gets all the water coming off of all these divisions. We still have so many flooding issues from the crossings and other developments that have happened, and they're not getting resolved. We don't want to add more impact without getting all these issues resolved first. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Shirley Tilney. Shirley Tilney, followed by Jimmy Haynes.
Hello, it's nice to see you all again. I live at 14502 in Rarity Point Road, and we have a serious flooding issue up and down our street. It's the Palmcourt subdivision. I've been here several times about it. And talking to people that work in the county in the inspections and permits department, I ran across something that was extremely disturbing. When someone turns in a plan to be built like this and it's approved, I found out the builders go and then do what they want. And it's allowed by Escambia County. They build it where they want, when they want, and after the house is built, then they turn in a new plan and say, here it is, we meet minimal codes. And your inspector says, oh, okay, passed. How do you know it meets minimal codes? I didn't see any kind of runoff analysis, water flow analysis, nothing. And right now, I have so much water, silt, dirt coming from the roads, from across the street, from down the streets, that comes in the middle of my front yard, and it keeps building up against the house. And last Saturday, when we had 1.5 inches of rain, I had 3 inches of water in my yard up against the house. Gets any higher, it's going to start seeping in underneath in between the walls. And that's a pretty sad thing to think that it was a 3-year-old house and it's already that close to flooding because no one has bothered to check what these builders do. And I'm asking that you get the engineering department, get these inspectors, get these people, make these builders actually prove that what they're doing is going to work. Because in our house, obviously, no one was made. In fact, there were 4 houses built at the same time, and we all have the same problem. So thank you, and I hope that, and I guess also I wondered, because you have Harry Gibson, he's the one that tells them what elevation to build the house. That's where those plans came from. Why do you have people telling them what elevation to build the house when they're going to toss it in the garbage after it's approved? You know, perhaps something should be done to follow through and make sure that they actually do build according to the approved plans. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Jimmy Haynes, followed by Melissa Pino.
Hi, my name is Jim Haynes. I live at 1220 JoJo Road. We've got some things up for you. The intersection of JoJo and West Side goes underwater when it rains. The photo on the left is looking from the intersection back up West Side Drive. The photo on the right shows the intersection from the west side toward the JoJo intersection. Bennett Pond is located right beyond the yellow turn sign, which is the blue arrow pointing down. JoJo Road itself is very narrow and has a lot of large trees on each side. It's hard to dodge the water and meet the oncoming traffic. JoJo Road, West Side intersection. The creek runs through the property under development and comes out by West Side Drive. The creek on the development property overflows and floods the property on the property line with the development. The backyard becomes a second creek when it's normally dry land. Bennett Pond is located at the intersection of JoJo and West Side. Bennett Pond borders the proposed development. It has an overflow pipe that appears to also dump into the creek and wetlands. We want to thank you for your time and allowing us to show you the current water problems we have in our neighborhood. We do not want a dense development that will cause more flooding in our neighborhoods. We would like to request a community meeting with the engineering staff, development staff, and the developer to discuss the impact of the townhome project on our neighborhoods, to gain a better understanding of how they plan to mitigate the water problem and discuss ways that they can reduce the negative impact on their development to our existing community. And I've got one little thing that's not in my script. I don't know if y'all know Ms. Bennett or not, but when we bought the house, I really did not want to live next to an apartment complex. But Ms. Bennett, we've never had a problem, never, in 3.5 years. She rules with an iron hand. My point to this is the developer is going to come in and build these, and he's going to leave. And somebody else is going to be running them. And I don't think they'll do the same thing she did. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Melissa Pino, followed by Kevin Wade.
Thank you, Chairman Burgash, Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblets. Kevin and I are here today with Francis and Diane and Barry from Save Pensacola Beach, wearing our Beach Access for Open t-shirts because we've got a pretty good track record, and next up is restoring our shoreline on Navy Point because that project is experiencing epic failure. We're just going to replay the video from the presentation that Chairman Bender of the estuary program was nice enough to let us give last week.
Is there volume?
I wanted to start by saying I'm a big fan of Matt's. I support him. I support him and his staff and the work that they have been doing and the work he's continuing to do. Not going to say much about what went down. For those of you that aren't in Escambia County, I'm kind of one of the advocates that's known for just saying the thing. So I'll just say that Ray Charles with sunglasses on could have seen that one was a setup, and I am so glad that the policy board retained him. I really do believe he's a shining star, rising shining star. But, and you know this is coming, Matt, trash-free waters. Here are the 7 bags of ripped up oyster bags, empty of their shells except for clusters hanging on, which makes, along with the gentleman who dumped 6 bags at the feet, I didn't even know who he was, over in Navy Point, of county staff on Saturday, upwards of 40 bags now, that as we predicted, this is exactly what was going to happen with this project. I am not against living shorelines. I am not against oyster shell shorelines. But what I'm here today to ask this policy board to consider is that it breaks my heart and it makes me angry at the same time that now I got to come before this policy board on this ridiculous project, which has now reached the point of insanity that it is literally collapsing and spreading sharp oyster shells that now have razor clams attached to them over 2,200 linear feet of our sandy bottom children's swimming beaches. So, that's what we're dealing with in Navy Point. Now, this is not anything, this is something particular of this project. The county used the wrong bags. But what makes me sad is that while the Natural Resources Department of the county has not proven themselves to be adult enough to admit that this project was a mistake and be accountable enough to remove a screaming public safety hazard before a child loses a hand, an arm, a limb, or God forbid, dies. Because that's how serious this issue is. And with all this explosion, and you notice the language is now oyster campaigns, oyster core, very militaristic type stuff here because there's increasing awareness among the public that these things are bad news where people recreate, including their docks. And the answer that the county always gives me is, well, Mel, there's Vibrio everywhere. Yeah,
Melissa,
yeah, we know.
You want to pause that for a
So why exponentially increase the danger?
Can you start in 3 minutes? Okay, so now Kevin, you're up.
Kevin Wade, 413 Southeast Public.
Neighborhood, a man that lived for 50 years down the bayou in Beach Haven with his dock, 50 years. One of these projects got introduced near his dock, and a couple of years later, he walked out onto his deck and he lost his leg. You can't put this stuff, okay? The bags themselves are razor sharp. One of them was hanging in a bush today. They go everywhere. If we ever get just the right wind, they're going to come through people's windows. All of these projects need to be vetted. Protect what matters most, right? Protect what matters most. If this board believes that that includes human health and safety, as well as all the little critters, and Robert, I really appreciate you just giving, I swear this is my last comment, and then I'm wrapping it up. When we approached the Navy Point thing on Saturday, I about lost my mind because the county had gone, and this is a good woman, very educated woman, she's a nice person, well-meaning, went out into the water, slid open a bag, dumped some bayou water into a bus tub, and then slapped a sign on it that told the kids to go ahead and stick their hands in there and feel the creatures. So I walked up, there was this little girl, and she's like this, trying to get her hands into oyster shells, and they're tipping the bus tub for her so she can come in contact with it. Has everyone lost their minds? Please consider as a policy board that you put some type of policy in motion that this doesn't happen anywhere else again, because I am telling you, it is only a matter of time, and we're only collecting the ones that are coming up on the shoreline. I can't imagine what a mess it is underneath. As little kids swam in front of these things on Saturday morning, right underneath signs that warned them to stay away from the project because it's so dangerous. And I really do appreciate the extra time. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, did you say you had something?
So you got about 45 seconds?
We'll start the next one.
Southeast Boblets. Love this part of the world. I like to do dangerous things for hobbies. One of them is scuba. Remember when scuba was dangerous, and, well, the waterbed companies had something to say about that after a while during the AIDS crisis. This was the petting zoo the other day. And
I'm sorry,
this
your
was
time's up.
under
You gotta shut it
the
down. We just got 10 more speakers, so 3 minutes each. Diane Crummel, you're recognized. Followed by Francis Heinley.
Thank you, Commissioner Bergosh. I just want to say thank you again for fighting to open beach access for. You are our hero, so thank you for that.
Oh, thank you very much. Well,
I appreciate
I was
it.
proud to do it. Been out there many times. It's been very popular.
Yes,
Good.
and it is on the 4-year anniversary of Save Pensacola Beach.
That's right. All right. Okay.
The beginning days of Save Pensacola Beach. That lasted 2.5 years. Okay, I'm here to give my minutes for the,
Oh, okay, so you want to put the video back on for 2:40? Okay.
Who purchased and this was under the shadow of the signs warning Navy Pointers who purchased homes with the selling feature that in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, on and on and on until even when I purchased my home there, that no home in Navy Point is more than a few minutes walk from a bathing beach. Navy Point was ringed with beaches and considered bathing beaches, and this is for all time, has been this way. Now, Commissioner Underhill himself, thankfully he's no longer part of this. I am so glad to come to these meetings and not hear that. Actually said, if children get hurt playing with these oysters or on these piles, this is a monumental parenting fail. And, you know, I agree that this project in many parts of the world is perfect. Navy Point, not perfect. Our water does not build large accretions of oysters. You will see on these bags, which have been there for a few years now, There's a few oysters and clams that are clung to these. Not many. Not many at all. And these things are coming apart. And I wear a body camera. I have hours and hours and hours of finding these things on the shoreline. This was part of the display the other day. You know, miniature reef ball, that's kind of cute. This is, the other day, the shoreline behind a large section of this project. Project's not really helping. It's still, the sand is getting pulled back. You see the little shelf that's happening. Well, that undercutting and shelf is evident now.
All right, Kevin, your time is up. So Francis Heinley, are you giving your time for this video? Okay, then if you'll start a new clock. We normally don't do this for speakers, but since it's a video, we'll make an exception.
And the scores of trees that no longer exist along the Navy Point shoreline. And there are trees now at the poop station on Gibbs Point that are dying because almost all of their roots are now exposed. This project went in, and we knew, the county knew. It was said when this project went in that around the edges of these, there will be a magnification of the erosion. Okay, protecting what matters. Well, there was a hurry to get out of Navy Point. This was this morning. Sign's still there, sir. So I know somebody can come back and get that. So this is where the bags were this morning. If you're protecting what matters, these things are in the grasses, in the brush, all along the shore. This is how we found them this morning. This is how I find them all the time, okay? This is actually a piece of video. This is what they're like. All right, now, if protecting what matters only is showing up with a pelican, this is telling me that the pelicans matter. This is not conducive to pelicans. I have saved quite a few pelicans, brought them to the Habitat for the Pelicans over and over and over again. And it used to be the plastic containers, the six-pack carriers that were the issue. Well, now the county has created, what, 88,000 issues in these piles that are coming apart and going to the extremes of placing rocks on top of these to help hold them. You know, this is not working. This one spot right here, there are 3 bags off here in the grass, okay?
Almost there.
And this is every day. I walk this shoreline all the time with Doug, and I have to basically steer him away from areas where these are. And if children getting hurt is a parenting fail, this is a fail of the county.
All right,
and
thank
the
you, guys.
program.
We get
Yeah,
the flavor.
Navy
The time's
Point.
expired. Gene Brown.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Chips, are we addressing this issue as an environmentalist? I mean, it's a little alarming. Are we addressing this? It's not my district, but it's very alarming.
Commissioner, this is a project that's several years old now, and it probably does require some maintenance. So we are looking into it. Yes, sir.
So we're a little negligent on the maintenance of it, so there needs to be some attention paid to it?
There needs to be some attention paid to it. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, you have my support in paying attention to it. It's Commissioner O'Neill's district, but I think that there are valid arguments here that we should pay attention to it, so.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, Gene Brown, followed by Chris Kerb. And for those of you in the audience, we're running a little bit late on this. We had a lot of speakers tonight, so after this meeting, we'll take a short break, and then we'll start our regular meeting.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jean Brown of 1475 Finley Drive. For 54 years, I opposed the Thompson Bayou Villas development. I've spoken to you about my love for my neighborhood, the comprehensive plan and the land development code, talking about that new development has to be compatible in character and size with existing neighborhoods, that it is to preserve and protect the quality and character of neighborhoods. I've talked to you about water problems and water tables that range from 1 to 7 feet among the neighbors that I have talked to. Tonight, I have 5 questions for you. Does Escambia County have a drainage easement to run stormwater across my property at 1475 Finley Drive? Water flows from the south, east, and north onto 1475. Our home is in a hollow. There's an easement access from Finley Drive to a residence behind us. There's an 18-inch culvert which catches stormwater runoff, and it drains directly onto our property. The water exits our property at our northwest corner, flowing over land toward Thompson Bayou. 3 rooms of our home have flooded several times. 2, has property been deeded to Escambia County for the extension of JoJo Road east of West Side Drive, or is this an unopened right-of-way? Escambia County appraiser maps show JoJo Road extension. JoJo has a 30-foot right-of-way from Jernigan to West Side. The extension continues at 30 feet right-of-way until it reaches the southwest corner of Wood Run subdivision, and the right-of-way then narrows to 15 feet. 3, are the restrictions imposed in the warranty deed dated December the 3rd, 2004 for the development property still in effect and relevant? See OR Book 5537, page 0241. Among other restrictions, there are these 2. Grantors shall not convey any additional right-of-way from lots 5 and 6 in Block 7 for the widening of JoJo Road or other roadway. Grantees shall not create any stormwater drainage or runoff from the above-described property in lots 6 in Block 7, which is owned by the grantor. Since Finley Drive has, this is number 4, since Finley Drive has frequent waterline ruptures, can we be assured that our drinking water is safe? Will the frequency of ruptures be increased if Thompson Bayou Villas development is constructed? There are 56 patches in the road. What is the cause? 5, I respectfully and hopefully request that our District 4 Commissioner hold a town hall meeting for the neighborhoods affected by the Thompson Bayou Villas as soon as possible, to include staff, engineers, and other appropriate people.
Thank you.
Remember Finley JoJo. Thank
Yes, ma'am.
you.
All right, Chris Kirby recognized, followed by Barry Goodson.
May I approach?
Yeah, please, yeah, go ahead. What do you got? All right, thanks. Is it one page?
I'm not going to take up much of your time. I know Linda Lewis wants to talk, so I've sent a few emails to you today. I also have a Google Drive that I'll be sending you with some photos. I really didn't prepare any speech today for you, but if you do have any questions about that handout, I'm sure your county engineer, when she starts, she will. But I'll be glad to meet. You got questions? You want me to come to your town hall for Finley Drive, folks? I'll be glad to come to that. I have a little information to share with you. And only charge double when it rains. Good news is 2 times free is free. Yeah, well, you know, I might come back to work for the county.
All right, thank you. Barry Goodson, you're recognized. Followed by the last speaker, Linda Lewis. You'll be after Mr. Goodson.
I was supposed to have joined the organization Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio.
I was supposed to join that conversation, and somehow you guys, or some way it was messed up to where I wasn't the next one called.
So you're waving in support of their presentation?
Well, I support what's going on right now with the situation at Navy Point, and I know one thing. In 1975, I lived in Navy Point. We had the beaches, and they were all nice. They were swimming all the way around Navy Point. We never had problems with oysters or contact with oysters or anything put there to stop erosion because it was not taking place at that time. But through time, things do happen. But there was never a reason to put oysters down in one specific area that was supported by Escambia County of Florida, because it made no sense. It still makes no sense. And now it's become a nightmare of a situation for people who wade the beaches there. They get cut up on those oyster shells. And oyster shells produce a good toxic formula when it breeds in your legs. So, you guys rethink and think hard on doing stuff like that, because that's just not necessary. We have other ways to control erosion, and it's not putting razor blades at the beach to keep people from wading there and doing it in a specific area and not doing it in a whole area where it's going to make a difference. We have competent engineers that could have come up with that, not necessarily appointed officials from straw votes out there on Innerarity. It's pathetic. Anyway.
Question for the speaker.
Yeah,
sir.
sure, go for it.
Do I understand correctly that you do not live in Navy Point? Is that correct?
What's that?
Do I understand correctly you do not live in Navy Point?
Not now, no.
Okay.
I live here in Pensacola.
Thank you. And is it
over
my understanding,
on Scenic Highway.
And is it my understanding that your position is that there was no erosion taking place in Navy Point in the 1970s?
In 1970s, 1975, no. When I was living there was the erosion might have been every day. There might have been some sort of a wave lapping up on the beach and moving a little bit of sand, but there was no real big erosion at that time.
Okay, and is it also my understanding that what you're saying is that those beaches were all easily accessed, and that all that area was accessible, and people were waiting in all that area?
When I lived there, yes, people used those beaches. We used to have volleyball games there, on the beach side, and then everybody would go for a dip thereafter. And people used down by, where the oysters were put in place, that used to be a place where people, they would be wading all the way around the shoreline. I didn't document any of this because I didn't know that I would have to come in contact with razor sharp oyster beds being planted on the beach that came in. And what have they done? I mean, I know that was your project. Exactly what was the outcome and what was the solution of doing that?
Well, the outcome was exactly what the planned and designed outcome was.
What was that? To leave the bags of
Sir, did you want me to answer the
decaying-
question?
What's that? Yeah, well.
Okay. Well, if you'll stop talking, I'll start talking.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that, Mr. Underhill,
So the
because
intent of-
it's...
Okay. Let him answer the question.
All right.
So the intent of the design was to start to curb the erosion that had become very significant. Certainly the overhead photographs from long before the 70s and through the 70s would indicate that erosion's been taking place for quite some time. It was also designed to create an atmosphere, an environment to promote marine growth, which it most certainly has. And the evidence is very strong in that area. Now, if you were still there in Navy Point, you would actually see that. So, does the project, like every other project, have required some maintenance? Sure. Has it, Are there areas that need to be cleaned up and fixed up, like just about everything else in the entire county? Yes, absolutely. But that project has worked out exceptionally well, and I'm very proud to say that we'll also be adding the largest living shoreline in the state of Florida going around the military base. So, it's a good project. It has worked out well for what it is intended to do. Certainly, if you have children who are raised not to know better than to climb on a living shoreline, yes, they are going to end up getting hurt. And so it is a very good idea to train children who are going to be working in our water, living and playing in our waterways, how to do so in such a way that's conducive to our environment. So, thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you. Your time has expired. Final speaker today is Linda Lewis.
Well,
sir,
he responded to what I said. I should be able to respond to that.
No, you're done. You're done.
Well,
your time's up.
Mr.
Thank
Chairman,
goodness he's
Mr. Chairman,
done. Your
Mr.
time's
Chairman,
up. Your time's
Mr.
up.
Chairman,
Yeah.
And, and that bothers me about waterways. I mean, quite frankly, I've just read something about a child dying in the waterways in Escambia County. And so, Doug just said something that bothers me. That Escambia County, like every other neighborhood. And so, West Administrator, I want our county, as we go into the budget, to look like a county that's taking care of their community. And I don't care if it's the waterways, I don't care if it's right-of-ways. If we're not doing that, then it's a problem. And so I hear what Commissioner Underhill just said, just like every other neighborhood. I want those things to be addressed. And so whatever resource you need in this next budget year to address those issues, whether it's my district or Doug's district, address it. I'm not going to sit here and say that, Escambia County is not addressing the issues of the citizens.
Commissioner May, I look forward to that in the next budget cycle. If we quadrupled our maintenance budget in this county, we'd still would be behind the power curve. So hopefully we'll be able to find the money to do exactly what you just said.
It bothers me when Chip just said that we have maintenance issues. We should
Huge maintenance issues.
maintain the assets that we've been able to acquire.
You take care of what you got before you buy other stuff. You're right. We learned that as kids growing up.
Chips, can you come to the podium? I want to ask you a question, since we're running long. Anyway. So when these oyster bag shoreline, when this was put in Navy Point, and it was grant money that put it in, was there no continuing funding for the maintenance of it? Because the bags are ripping apart. I've driven out there and looked at it, and they're coming out, the oysters are coming out. Was there no additional funding for the ongoing maintenance of it?
The grant funding was about $180,000 from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and it did not have any grant funding for maintenance.
So that would be a county responsibility going forward?
That's correct.
So how do you maintain, and what is the plan to maintain that? It's a legitimate question, given what we're seeing.
We'll just have to find time in our busy schedules to work it in, sir.
No. Well, and look, I'm just trying to be realistic. Let me ask you this, though. If they got pulled out and they were gone, then what would happen?
Well, I don't know that the Corps of Engineers and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection would let habitat be removed from a waterway because they permitted that. And probably the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation would want their grant funds returned.
So there would be a clawback if those.
Yes, sir.
So removing those is not an option?
It's an option, but it would be expensive.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's just important to ask these questions because we're getting speakers on it.
Question for the staff.
Doug.
Chips,
Yeah.
based on you were at the very beginning of this project, right? You actually wrote the grant request, did you not?
I did.
Okay,
yes.
so you were very familiar with these types of projects around the county, around the state when you did that?
Sure.
Was the project built out in accordance with what you felt was the best business practices of the day?
It's the best available science in peer-reviewed journal articles. There are hundreds of projects just like it all over the country. There's a project just like it over in Bayou Tahar at Bayview Park, another public park. There are similar projects all over the world. Actually, I was in Italy a few weeks ago, and there are projects over there in the Mediterranean just like this.
Okay. And is this project functioning in spite of what was clearly very dramatically delivered to us tonight? Is this project functioning within the parameters that it was designed?
It is, and we've been doing monitoring every year with aerial photography, looking at the shoreline changes. There are three important functions of a living shoreline project. One is to reduce erosion. It's not going to stop erosion, but it can certainly buy time and slow down the erosion rate. Secondly, it provides a habitat for fish and shrimp and crabs and all other aquatic organisms. And thirdly, it improves water quality because the oysters are filter feeders. Each oyster filters about 50 gallons a day, and actually there are studies that show that the bacteria load and the water quality is actually better around oyster reefs than it is in other places.
Okay, so what I'm hearing then, long answer from a scientist, of course, but the short answer is yes, it is meeting the designed parameters of the grant and the project.
It's meeting the parameters that the coastal engineers and the marine biologists anticipated, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, and listen, with all due respect, I understand that kids are dying from oysters and dying from the water. I mean, I don't know, but black and brown children are being killed every day in Escambia County.
And we're talking
Kids are drowning every day off of boats in Escambia County. And so, unfortunately, I'm going to be very supportive, but we certainly need to be looking at initiatives to stop our children from being killed. They're being killed at 4 or 5 days a month, and so I get the kids are being killed, and they're going into oyster bays or whatever that is, but they're being killed by bullets every day, and we've never taken a position as a county. We've never taken a position of what's happening in the urban core, not on the coastal shores, but what's happening in the urban cores of my district, of black and brown children being killed. And so I appreciate those things, and I'm going to be supportive of all the people that are here, but don't bring me nothing unless we have resources to address what's happening to inner city, urban core, black and brown children that are being killed every day. That's a pandemic. So I appreciate that, and Jeff, I certainly don't want to have that conversation, but that's the reality of what's happened. No one gets irate when black and brown children are being killed, but we get irate because some kids may be being killed about oyster bays. And so, I mean, the reality of it, black and brown kids are being killed. Kids are drowning off of boats, and people continue to advocate for that and hold their heads up. But our kids are being killed every single day, every week in Escambia County.
All right, so we'll have more discussions about these issues. Linda Lewis, and then Sam Young will close it out. Linda Lewis, you're recognized.
Yes, my name is Linda Lewis, and I reside at 7157 Belgium Road, and I've been there since May of 1980. Ever since I lived there, I have dealt with the water flooding issues, septic issues, along with many of the other neighbors. I've tried over the decades to get help to help solve some of the floodings. With the flooding issues and the water level, I had to borrow money to put in a sump pump system so I could flush my toilets. It was most embarrassing when you asked your in-town people or out-of-town folks to come visit, but to bring a bucket. Not bring your own bottle, but bring your own bucket so you could flush. We couldn't flush. In a neighborhood like that, you would think that there would not be that type issue. After even putting in the septic system of $9,000, which I had to borrow money to do, when the power goes out, we still have to use the buckets. I'm asking for your help. When I had gotten help from the county with the ditches in front of my home, which, by the way, belonged to the county, I maintained those ditches until I became so old and gray-haired, and now I have to pay somebody else to mow them and take care of them. The thing is if I bill the county for what I've paid to maintain the ditches that are county ditches, I could probably put in some type of system myself to prevent the drainage and correct some of the problems. I mailed every commissioner and have talked to every commissioner since I've lived there over the decades. And keep in mind, it's decades, not decade, okay? I also mailed a letter on September 2021, September 16th, to my commissioner in District 1, and yet to hear nothing from that. Apparently, it was the COVID that got it, or either the mail. I'm asking again to help resolve some of the problems on Belgium Circle in front of my home and on Belgium Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. When did you send the letter again, if I might ask? Because did you say 2016 you sent that letter?
I sent you the letter on September 16, 2021.
2021, okay.
Yes.
It was a letter in the mail, because I don't recall ever getting it, but I'll check with my secretary.
Okay.
And if you could send it via email, that's probably...
Yes, I sent it to you.
Yes, ma'am, but if you could send it via email, that would be preferable.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sam Young is the final speaker. Sam Young? That is the last speaker.
Good evening. I'm here representing the Northwest Florida Community Housing Development Organization, one of the local CHODOs. About an hour ago, I was at home and I picked up on the news a story which was surprising, that tonight that there was going to be consideration, if not approval, for the county to develop affordable housing. We are currently under agreement with the county for 4 lots. And I think it was Commissioner May who was quoted on the news story that said that CHODO has quoted prices of $230,000 for the development of the agreed-to houses.
Mr. Chairman, stop this time. Sam, that's inaccurate. Go back and review. I said that I didn't identify any CHODO.
No, you said CHODO. I didn't say us.
No, I didn't say you. I said we get prices quoted for $230,000. And so I'd love to be quoted accurately.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
It
say
had nothing
us.
to do with your CHODO.
Okay, all right.
All right.
So I picked up the news. I was concerned because I have been emailing county staff for 2 months without getting a return. I've been making phone calls to the administrator and county staff and not getting returns. So I was very concerned when I saw the news snippet that this might be related to the project that we currently are under agreement for. And if it was, then I just wanted to make sure that I was well informed before you made any decisions, and then I would be able to provide necessary input. Now, if what you're saying that what was on the news and what you are considering has no bearing on the agreement that we have in place or the project that we have been committed to working together on, then I apologize for taking your time. But if that's not the case, then I would like to have the ability to ensure that accurate information is in front of the commission before any decisions were made.
And I'll answer, Wes, before you. Quite frankly, we had an AHAC committee that has put affordable lands into the plan. Had nothing to do with your organization whatsoever, Sam. And so I don't know where you would get that information from. But I will tell you candidly, we are disappointed in the pricing increase from Habitat that relates to the affordable housing project that we've done.
Okay, if I still have a minute left, then I will.
No. I mean, you have as much time as you want, but I would love to have, you have communicated with me, and I'd love to have that communication with you offline. If you prefer to have it publicly, I'm very happy to have it publicly tonight. Because the deal is we want to provide affordable housing for our community. And if we want to have it publicly, I'm happy to have it publicly tonight. If we want to have it privately, and I know that Wesley Hall and Claire have worked with you, if we want to have it publicly, I'll have it tonight. But if you want to, and you have called me, and I'll give you that, and I'll return the phone call, we can have that. We understand that there have been price increases, but we do understand that we're trying to provide affordable housing and work with our CHODOs and our not-for-profits to do that. And so we do appreciate the work that you're doing, but there was in no way that your name was ever mentioned.
No, I'm not suggesting it was. I just know that, as far as I know, we're the only CHODO under agreement with the county for affordable housing. If that's not correct, again, you have my apology. Yes, I would love the opportunity to go offline and get to a solution. We are an organization that this year are building 50 affordable homes to people who are otherwise unable to afford a home. So, I believe that the mission and our hearts are in the right place. And yes, there is escalation in prices, and we have figured out workarounds for that. So I would love the opportunity to get that project back on track and have those conversations, I would appreciate it if someone would contact me and set up the meeting. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. That's our final speaker, and I'll just say for the people here, we ran long today, but I think it's important when citizens show up to speak to us that they get the full 3 minutes. So we ran a little long, so subsequently, we'll be starting our meeting a little bit late. We'll start it at 20 after. 20 after we'll start a regular meeting. We're adjourned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started in just about 1 minute. If you take your seats for me, I appreciate it. About 1 minute till we start.
do. I don't.
All right, good evening. Welcome. This is the Board of County Commissioners' regular meeting, June 2nd, 2022. It is 25 minutes after 6 p.m. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman to allow sufficient time for all speakers. Speakers shall refrain from abusive, profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other behavior which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion is limited to board members and questions raised by the board. This evening, we're going to have an invocation. Commissioner Underhill, I believe, has brought a pastor. So you'd like to introduce him?
Not actually a pastor, but Grover Brown Jr. is an elder of the Friendship Missionary Baptist Church in Brownsville. So, Elder Brown, if you would come and help us get into our best place that we can be for the next couple hours.
Wait, Commissioner May, did you have your light on?
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure in spirit of diversity. For the record, Pastor Brown, Minister Brown, can you state what church you are a member of and your address and how long you've been a member of the church, just for the record?
Friendship Missionary Baptist Church.
And how long have you been a member?
I've been a member there for 2 years.
2 years. Okay. And your address?
2746 Carrington Lakes Boulevard.
Okay. And were you the former pastor of the Friendship Primitive Baptist Church?
Yes, I was.
How long ago were you no longer the pastor of the Friendship Primitive Baptist Church?
As of 2020.
2020, you were no longer the pastor. And who is your pastor now?
Pastor Lou Timothy May.
Timothy.
You might be familiar with him.
I'm more familiar with you. I'd love to see, can you get a prayer to God?
I think that we can all get a prayer to God. Thank goodness for that. I will say that it's interesting because Friendship Missionary Baptist was one of the first places where I started to understand Brownsville. So as I'm getting to the end of my period of service, it's appropriate that we'd have you here with us. So
Absolutely.
please.
Hey, it's where I got my start at too, Commissioner.
Awesome. Please, sir, take it to God for us.
Let us pray. Tonight, Father, we come praying for this commission, these delegated servants that have been chosen by the people of this county. We ask, Master, that you would endow them with your presence, that they might make decisions that are just as well as equitable, but most of all, that are to the benefit of the citizens of this county. Father, your presence is desired, it's needed, Lord, it's mandated, that tonight that what would come out of this would be for the benefit, especially for the growth. But then also, Lord, we pray that they would be mindful for those, Lord, who do have not, those who are not enabled, those who are not endowed with financial resources, that you would look upon them, Lord, to be servants as they've been called to be. We thank you. We pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And Mr. Chairman, thank you, and for the record, because I know it would probably be, I saw his pastor recording him. In 2020, he became a member of the Friendship, not Primitive Baptist, Missionary Baptist. So he probably will walk out while we're pledging, but it's great.
Thank you for that. All right, Commissioner Berry, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Are there any items to be added to the agenda? Madam Attorney?
No, sir.
Commissioner Bender?
No, sir, I don't have any. I think they were in before this morning.
Just what's on here, right?
Yep.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I need to add something. It relates to a little bit of a discussion this morning, but the board gave previous direction at a committee of the whole. From the minutes of that meeting, we asked staff to bring back an item to the board for approval via consent agenda anytime funds are moved from personnel to another area of a department's budget. I'm going to ask the board to rescind that and do what I stated this morning, which is allow dollars to be reallocated from personnel dollars to capital and other operating dollars, as long as it goes through the budget office and the administrator's office.
Sure. At what point in the meeting would you like to do that? During forum?
At the very end is fine.
At the very end?
Yeah, and I'll mention it. I thought the discussion this morning would have been clear enough, but then was given direction that I had to formally do this tonight. So
Okay.
I take direction well, so I'll do so.
Okay, sounds fair enough. Anything else, Stephen, for you? Okay, Commissioner May?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And certainly, I was at Darrell Palmer's funeral today, and.
Oh, no, we're just doing add-ons for now.
No.
We'll come back around.
Well, no add-ons.
Okay, Doug?
None, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
All right. I don't have any. Wes?
No, sir.
Okay, very
Move
good.
the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion and second to move the agenda as amended. Please vote. Okay, the agenda passes 5-0. Now we'll move to Commissioners' Forum. Commissioner Bender, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to recognize our Public Works Department and staff for their hard work last week. Of course, in the Ferry Pass area and throughout the county, we sustained heavy damage from the tornado that touched down, straight line winds, and large amounts of rainfall. So not only were they out cleaning up in those areas, but then they were also getting the beach ready for Memorial Day and all the visitors that were coming. So their hard work throughout the weekend to maintain that. So Jamie, I appreciate you and everybody there. Also want to welcome the U.S. Coast Guard vessel, the Eagle, to town. I'm sorry I was not here this morning. I had the opportunity to ride that in from in front of NAS into port this morning with the crew and others. I appreciate the Navy League setting that up and putting it together. So they are here through Sunday. I think they've already had a number of visitors today. It'll be open all day tomorrow and Saturday for visitation. It's interesting. It was a German ship that wore reparations from Germany. It was how we acquired it. German soldiers, the sailors, sailed it over to America and then were arrested. So it's a great ship, and hopefully you have the opportunity to tour it. Also want to thank Senator Scott, held the roundtable, and a couple of us got to go in there and appreciate the business leaders, community leaders that showed up to discuss with various topics with him. And I think that was a great opportunity for all of us to hear what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bender. Commissioner Berry, you recognized?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Want to thank Eric Gilmore, Public Safety Director, for coming to Cantonment Rotary yesterday and giving a great presentation about hurricane preparedness. As yesterday happened to also be the first day of hurricane season, Eric did a great job reminding Cantonment Rotarians about what things we needed to do to be prepared and how to help prepare our neighbors as well. I want to congratulate a dear friend of mine, and I know Commissioner Mays, if not others, Josh Womack from Cantonment Improvement Committee, also a member of Cantonment Rotary, but they're celebrating a 10-year anniversary this week. They've got a luncheon tomorrow at Greater First Baptist on Booker Street in Cantonment. And 10 years of a great organization with with nobody drawing a paycheck, just trying to really change the face of their community. And I remember being at their either their first or second meeting, a little bit over 10 years ago, and they have come a tremendous way. And it's really due to it's what it takes to change a community. It's more than one or two people. They've got a solid group of 18, 20, 22 people that have been active and really turn out a lot of folks for their work days. But Josh was featured this week, Angels in the Midst by our good friend Sue Strawn and at Channel 3, and I thought they did a great job of not just highlighting Josh's success, but also highlighting the successes of the organization, of the Cantonment Improvement Committee. And also want to thank our dear friend and constitutional officer, Scott Lunsford. He's bringing the Florida License on Wheels to the courthouse in Century. It's going to be next Wednesday, June 8th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a pretty fancy mobile service doing all types of driver's license services to the folks of Century. I want to thank Scott for doing that as well. I'll preemptively thank him for returning money this year, as I'm sure he'll do. So.
Yes, we like that. Commissioner Bender, did you have something you wanted to double back on?
Yes, sir, I did. John Persh is here with American Magic. I just wanted to recognize him. I know that's item 26 on the agenda, so if there were any questions, I at least let everybody know that he was here. Captain Terry has been in town these few days, getting the everything ready for when the ship hopefully arrives sometime late next week. I know John's chomping at the bit to get up here, but that's him. And I just want to say he was here, so if there's any questions, I wanted to try to move it up in the agenda.
Sure.
If not, I wanted to go ahead and release them. So I'm not asking to take it up right now, but
How about if we do it right after the proclamations, we bring up 26?
All right, that'd be perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you so
that way
much.
we don't have to keep him here all night. We appreciate him being here. Yeah, thanks for the reminder on that, Commissioner Bender. All right, Commissioner May, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate seeing you and Commissioner Bender on last evening.
Oh, that was fun.
You were quite the chairman in your remarks, and so it was great to see you. But certainly, Commissioner Berry, Josh Womack is not only a friend of District 5, but he's a friend of District 3. He's a friend of the minority community, a friend of those who lack access. So certainly support you with that. And certainly Carla Williams, who has taught at PSC for many years, who has volunteered in our community, whether it's mathematics or whether it's coaching, playing at Florida State or playing at PSC. What a great loss to our community, and so we certainly send our condolences to her family, the Broadnax family, the senseless acts of violence that has plagued our community, not only in New York and Texas, but also on our community. What a sad day, the gun violence. And so no matter what your political persuasion is, lives have been lost. And we should all bond together in praying for those families. And so unfortunately, within my district and Commissioner Berry, your district and all of our districts, there's been senseless acts of violence. And so if there's an opportunity to speak to the community, the violence has to stop. The gun violence has to stop within our community. And certainly we recognize that the shooting and the killings are the end result of a systemic problem that persist within our community. And so we certainly want to send our prayers out to those families. And I certainly want to send out my thanks to Wesley Hall, our assistant administrator, who has certainly worked very hard in our procurement office. And so I've seen, Stephen, I know that was one of your things and things beginning to speed up just a little bit and to man that up. And so Wesley, I want to thank you. In the last couple of weeks, we've spent a lot of time together with you and Claire on the housing program, as well as procurement, understanding that projects need to be done. So Wesley, we certainly appreciate you and Claire for your efforts. And finally, Mr. Chairman, as we move forward into the summer months, we're just encouraging parents to recognize that our children, they need something to do. We're kicking off our summer programs at Ebenwood, at Brownsville, and we certainly, Claire will be doing one in Wedgwood as well. And no child will be denied because of finances. And so, I mean, we're probably the only program in Escambia County that will not deny a child because of money. So we're going to try to get into Wedgwood, Lincoln Park, Inslee, in the Brownsville area. And so we're very thankful for that. And I think Claire can correct me. I think we're about 370 children who have registered for our summer employment program. It's from 17 children to 370 children. And we do appreciate our partnership at Escarosa, Mr. McBride, in helping us to be able to address some of those kids. We have a limited budget, but hopefully 200 of those young people will get a job. And Commissioner Berry, it's always a pleasure of mine when my sister LaRuby comes. I mean, there's others that I don't like, but my sister from D.C. and Paraquad and the great work that she's doing here in mass torts and infant and infant mortality and the mass tort that she's doing across the country. And she understands how hard it is to serve in local elected position, as she replaced the great Marion Barry in the District of D.C. And served. And because of my mother's accident and sickness, she's found it proper to be here in Escambia County and to bring her skill set and services here. And so I'm happy to have my sister here.
Commissioner, I mean, if I recall, she didn't just follow a Mr. Barry, a Marion Barry in D.C. I think she defeated a Marion Barry in D.C., which it takes it takes a May to do, I think, to beat Marion Barry in D.C. So I know y'all found a lot of pride in that, and yeah, certainly welcome, LaRuby.
Oh, we're glad. Well, no matter what your name is, if you decide to run, we're probably going to try to beat you at a large degree. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, that was a good one. That was a good way to end it. Commissioner Underhill, you're recognized.
Nothing for the good of the whole, thank you.
All right, very good. I've got a few things I want to mention. First and foremost, I want to thank Craig LaChance at the Veterans Administration out at Barrancas National Cemetery on Saturday. He hosted all the scout packs for a day of laying flags at every grave site out there at Barrancas. And I was invited to speak as a former Boy Scout. I'm a big proponent of Boy Scouts. I know they've been through a lot over the years, but they are a great program. It was a great program for me and my brother. I didn't make it to Eagle Scout, I made it to Life, but my brother made it to Eagle, and but we enjoyed it. And it was great to see the Scouts out there spending their time on Saturday morning honoring the men and women who served and the men and women who fell. And I will say, we had a gentleman named Steve Dracos, who was a Vietnam veteran, and he had all the Eagle Scouts in attendance. He asked for them to raise their hands, and we had a contingent of Air Force, active duty Air Force out there, and I was astonished. About half of them raised their hands. So scouting builds character, builds young men, and many of them go on to do great things in the United States military. So it was a very moving day. My father was a Vietnam vet and a veteran of the Persian Gulf War, and he's buried there. So I had the honor of putting a flag at his grave where my mom is also buried. So I just appreciate the VA. It was really tough to get everyone out there, access to the base because of some ongoing challenges, but we got it done, and it was a great day. I also want to thank Mr. Michael Caro. He's a citizen in this community who put together a team that raised over $100,000, and now we have established a walking trail in downtown Pensacola. It's called America's First Settlement Trail. We had a ribbon cutting yesterday. It's a nifty piece of history, and it's a 3-mile walking trail with 20 stops. You use your smartphone, you click on a QR code, it tells you all about where you're at, and it's circular, so you don't walk all the way like the Boston Freedom Trail and then have to walk back. And so the community got behind that. I'm proud that this board got behind that. And that is a great, that's going to be a great addition to the rich history of Pensacola downtown. Also want to thank the Fiesta. There was quite a party last night at Seville, and one of the more interesting parts of my job as chairman is I get to go surrender the county to Don Tristan DeLuna every year, and that's always a big party and a lot of fun. And so I was honored to represent the board last night at that event. And I will just say everyone had a great time. The city surrendered, the county surrendered, the sheriff's office surrendered. The chief of police surrendered, but the skipper of the Navy base refused to surrender, so I was very proud of him for that. He did a good job. He did good. Also, finally want to say tomorrow in the morning, we're going to have a luncheon for the crew of the Eagle, which is the Coast Guard's bark. It's a sailing vessel, as Robert mentioned earlier. It's a one-of-a-kind ship, and they're coming here for a 4-day port visit. I would encourage people to go tour it. It's going to be open for tours. Look online for that. And we're going to honor the crew with a nice luncheon tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. And finally, with hurricane season just beginning yesterday, my coffee with the commissioner on Wednesday, I'm going to have Eric Gilmore and we're going to have Travis Tompkins, and we're going to talk all about hurricane preparedness. That's this coming Wednesday at 6:30 online. So that's all I got. Wes, anything from you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say thank you to the staff, public safety, water safety, public works, EMS, fire, everybody that manned the beach this past weekend. We had record numbers, and we had a very great weekend. A lot of hard work, but a very successful weekend. So I just want to say thanks to those staff.
Thank you very much, Wes.
Hey, sorry, Jeff, one more thing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
I want to recognize the vendor of who repainted the beach ball tower.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that was completed. It was completed on time. I never heard of any issues that arose. So I would give this contractor high praise. I received numerous calls, texts, emails, whatever. They were working out there when that cold front came through in February. They were out there working. When there were high winds, they were out there working. When we had storms coming through every week, they were out there working. And so it was nice to see a project, especially one that's as visible as that, finish on time and be delivered with a great product. So I think we've got a couple punch list items that we're working on, but I appreciate Rob Hogan and his team for working that, and I think everyone's going to enjoy it this summer. It looks great right now. So.
Yeah, it sure does.
Thank
I
you.
saw it the other day when I was out there. It looks fantastic. Great job by those folks.
And it's identical. There
Yeah.
were no changes.
Yeah. They didn't put sand shaker
They didn't
on
put
the
the
side.
sand shaker logo on the side.
That was a
It is
great
just
prank.
as it was when we started redoing it. So
That was good. Okay, all right, well, the chair would entertain a motion on our proclamations.
Move the proclamations.
second.
Okay, motion is second on the proclamations. Please vote. Okay, they're approved 4-0 with Commissioner May off of the dais. We'll start out first. We have a proclamation commending and congratulating Melanie Harrell, a Library Clerk 1 in the Community Services Division of the Library Services Department, on her selection as Employee of the Month, June 2022. Todd Humble, you're recognized.
Todd Humble, Library Director. I'm actually going to have the branch manager. He has the luck to have one of our most pleasant employees at her location, his location. I would just give you a quick update on summer reading. We've just started, and our Reno's reptiles, which, live animals, kids just love them. We've had to turn people away because we've reached fire capacity at every single event.
Wow.
So today up at Molino is well over 200. Tomorrow at Century, those who couldn't get in, it's going to be full. We're trying to find ways to get around at Southwest. We've already got planned that we're going to use the whole library because we know we're going to meet the meeting room fire capacity. So COVID's over as far as fear of attending our events. I expect we're going to have a blockbuster summer. And Melanie is probably one of the best reasons for the West Side Library. So this is Michael Toronto.
Whereas Escambia County has established an Employee of the Month program to recognize one employee to represent the various departments, and whereas Melanie Harrell, a Library Clerk 1 in the Community Services Division of the Library Services Department, is selected for Employee of the Month for June 2022 for the standards of excellence that she has displayed in the performance of her duties, and whereas Melanie Harrell began her employment with the county on June 1st, 2021, and provides excellent service to the citizens of Escambia County through all of her assigned duties, and whereas Melanie works at the Customer Service Help Desk of the West Side Branch Library and always wears a smile and provides superb service most people only dream of, and whereas Melanie is very knowledgeable, and if she doesn't know the answer herself, then she knows who does. She assists patrons with acquiring and updating library cards, answers the phones, sends faxes, provides directions, and ensures our citizens find the answers they need. And whereas Melanie also provides technical support to both patrons and staff and helps our citizens find the books they need and request the ones they want from other libraries when needed. She also maintains the children's section, including book displays and seasonal decorations. And whereas Melanie coordinates and develops activities for programming events, including Lego Club, board game night, gardening, holiday crafts, and other fun events for those both young and old. She has extreme patience and provides detailed explanations to patrons of all ages. She always displays a cordial and professional demeanor. Melanie interacts and communicates well with members of other departments for system-wide branch activities. Melanie has continued her outstanding performance while maintaining her positive attitude and dedication to this department, and deserves to be recognized for the commitment she has to the Board of County Commissioners. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, recommends and congratulates Melanie Harrell on her selection as the Employee of the Month for June 2022.
Yep, definitely. Let's hear.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Melanie also has her family with her, or at least part of her.
Yeah, we got to get a
Why don't
picture.
you come on up.
Photo op.
Join the line.
Thank you guys again.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Next up, we've got a motorcycle safety proclamation. Commissioner Barry, are you going to?
Yeah, I believe Commissioner May stepped out, and if John Gifford and Don are here? Yes, please.
Thanks, Commissioner Barry.
Thank you all. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so, Escambia County Proclamation. Whereas motorcycle riding provides an exciting form of recreation and transportation for thousands of residents of Escambia County, motorcycles have become more appreciated due to their energy efficiency and reduced fuel consumption, minimal impact on road wear, and ability to ease parking congestion. Motorcycles are appearing in greater numbers on our highways and require certified training and sound judgment by riders. It is critical that all motor vehicle drivers be vigilant to the presence of motorcycles on streets and highways and strive to be more respectful and aware to reduce the number of injuries and fatalities. Safe motorcycle operation requires defensive driving habits by all motorists for the protection and safety of the entire motoring public. Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month has been designated by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration as a means to enhance public awareness of motorcycle safety. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida hereby proclaims May 2022 as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month in Escambia County and encourages all motorists to share the road and look out for motorcycles. Board of County Commissioners, Jeff Burgash, Chairman, District 1, Douglas Underhill, Vice Chairman, District 2, Lumen Bay, District 3, Robert Bender, District 4, Stephen Berry, District 5. Thank y'all for being down here and advocating on your cause. Thank you. Thank you, absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much, Commissioner Barry, for stepping in. At this point, Commissioner Bender, you're going to be recognized to bring forward American Magic.
Thank you. Yes, sir. So John Persh is the, I'm going to get this right, Chief Commercial Officer for American Magic. He's one of the jobs that have come into town in anticipation of this project. So I'd like to welcome him, welcome the team. We'll again get the boat here shortly. This is a recommendation concerning some TDT dollars.
Correct.
That the TDT approved, and with the chairman of that committee is why I've put this on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually was honored to make the motion after we had the presentation from Collier Merrill and Tom Pace, and then they came down here and told us all about you guys, and now you're here. So why don't you go ahead and give us a few words, introduce yourself, tell us what we're all about.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bender. My name is John Persh. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for the American Magic Racing Team. I actually just moved here about 3 weeks ago in anticipation of us being here for our third winter training and establishing a long-term national sailing center here in Pensacola. So on behalf of the team and on behalf of the 150 teammates that'll join me here in the next few months and over the next couple of years, it's amazing to be here in Escambia County in the city of Pensacola, and it's amazing to be able to take not only our story and bring it here, but be able to take Escambia County and Pensacola's story to the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So of course, there's a lot of interest about this, but there's also a lot of questions. So,
Sure.
So you said it's 150 jobs that are coming here. So they're bringing their families, a lot of them, I believe.
So there's probably going to be in excess of close to 350 to 400 people, given spouses and children,
Right.
Accompanying the teammates that are coming as well.
And I heard something about like 70 of those people are engineers, right?
So there's a massive influx of high-performance engineers, hydrodynamicists, hydrofoil engineers, naval architects. There's 8 folks that get out on the boat, but there's 150 people behind them that put that all together. And so, exactly to your point, Commissioner, the STEM side of this is pretty significant on the shore team.
And that's what we look at, also expanding within the community. So we feel that, of course, this will bring national recognition, worldwide recognition, not only to Pensacola, but what Pensacola Bay has to offer. And we'll be doing that through promotions, through these funds. And then also what we can set up, auxiliary programs and things like that, what it means for trying to bring regattas here, visitors coming to see why American Magic has chosen Pensacola Bay as their training for the best sailing in the country. So we appreciate that, and if there's no other discussion, I'd happy to move the item.
Your item, Card 226, the expenditure of the money from the tourist development, that's what you're moving?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we got a motion? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Underhill, your light's on?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While I'm pretty excited about having that kind of technology here, all of the talking points that we just heard are more in line with the use of revenue for economic development.
Sure.
And in my opinion, do not fall within the very strict guidelines of what the TDT was created for. And for that reason, because it doesn't really, we haven't seen the same analysis that we expect out of everybody else that receives these funds in terms of heads and beds and return on an investment, I'll be voting against it. That vote should not be, as vote is based on my very strict interpretation of that tax and what it's for, and should not in any way be perceived as a toxic attitude toward sailing in general, particularly the kids sailing that we've done at the yacht club before, or towards your group that's coming to town. So welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. All right, the item passes 3-1 with Commissioner Underhill in dissent. Congratulations, sir. Welcome to Pensacola. Welcome to Escambia County, and good luck in the training.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, John.
All right, now we're going to move back to our regular agenda and move forward in it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that, Commissioner Bender. It's good stuff.
Mr. Chairman,
All right,
do we have any
yes.
speakers on written communication?
I do not believe that we do.
If not, I move to drop.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's, okay. Motion to second to drop the written communication. Hang on, before we do that, though, I need to refresh my computer. Do we have any speakers on written? Okay, no speakers. Please vote to drop. All right, motion to drop written communication passes unanimously, so we're going to move forward now. Did the clerk's office receive the proofs of publication for public hearings on the agenda and the board's weekly meeting schedule?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
Move that we waive the reading.
Second. Okay, motion is second to waive the reading. Please vote. All right, motion to waive the reading passes unanimously. Okay. Next up, we have item number 9, a public hearing, repealing ordinance number 2020-24 and creating the Inner Point Park Vessel Exclusion Zone. It looks as though no speakers on that. Chair would entertain a motion.
Move the 531 in the affirmative.
Motion is second on 531. Please vote. All right, 531 passes 4-0 with Commissioner May off the dais. Clerk and Comptroller's report. Cody Lee is sitting in. Cody, you're recognized.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, there are 2 items on the clerk's report. The first is a recommendation concerning acceptance and filing of the investment report for the month ending April 30th, 2022. And then the second is a recommendation concerning minutes and reports that were prepared by the clerks to the board office. Clerks to the
Chairman, I
board
move
office.
that we accept the clerk's report as presented.
Second. Motion and second on that. Please vote. All right, clerk's report passes 4-0. Commissioner May off the dais. Gentlemen, we've got a number of speakers for the growth management report, item number, the 545. Horace, do you want to set it up, and then we'll bring the speakers in?
Yes, sir. For the first 546, hearing is to review and adopt. This is the opt-out request and assigning a consistent, to review and transmit, a consistent future land use category of mixed-use suburban.
Okay, very good. We have a number of speakers, as I said, so we'll just,
Transmit.
we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and have these speakers first, and we'll start with, we're going to go 2 minutes on speaker side. We have a tremendous number of speakers again, so 2 minutes on all speakers tonight, on all items going forward. So Melissa Pina, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Burgash. Melissa Pina, 413 Southeast Boblets. So now we finally get to see what the point of the fascination was with all of the battling against the sector plan, because of course it lands up in Jacqueline's backyard, literally her backyard. I don't wish it on anybody to stand in their backyard and watch clear cutting and devastation of land. But that is a problem that needs to be worked out with the county's land development code and not in opt-outs. Studio 850, as usual, got most of it wrong in their reporting, which is why they really need to stick to the city business, because they just screw it up every time they bring their hand into county stuff. And why wouldn't they? Because their only source is Jacqueline. So in this long post that they put up, John Signley starts out and says it's one of these convoluted land issues full of jargon that prevents citizens from having any clue to what's going on. We know what's going on. And Kevin, this isn't up on the screen if you can help it. We know what's going on is that this opt-out is in Jacqueline's backyard. We are not confused, Mr. Singley, so I don't know if you're trying to obfuscate or you're confused, but it's very evident what's going on. At the end of his reporting, he says the role of governing can be uncomfortable at times, but the rule of law is clear, and he's quoting their attorney for 1,000 Friends of Florida, Jane West. Well, the rule of law has been pretty clear. Here's the ruling on the last opt-out, the recommended order. Here's what the DEO had to go through on her 44 exceptions. The money and time and resources that has been wasted on this, it's astonishing. So Kevin is going to, sorry, we couldn't get the photo of Jacqueline sharing the property line on this, but I'll send it via email.
Okay, Melissa, you're out of time.
Kevin's going to read some of the quotes from the order.
Okay, Kevin Wade, you're recognized. 2 minutes.
Kevin Wade, 413 Southeast Boblets. This judge must be a Star Trek lover. Love them. Contrary to the plain language of the controlling statutes, petitioners argued that the OSAP and DSAP development standards should remain on the subject properties unless the DSAP is amended through a quasi-judicial process. This argument is illogical. Number 40, petitioners did not prove beyond fair debate that the 3 opt-out plan amendments were internally inconsistent or would create conflict within the county's comp plan. 34, petitioners argued that the opt-out applications are internally inconsistent with the policies of Chapter 16 of the comp plan. Petitioners' convoluted argument cannot be accepted because the sector plan statute allows property owners to withdraw their parcels from OSAP area. 47, the evidence demonstrated that there was adequate data and analysis taken from professionally accepted sources and gathered through professionally accepted methodologies to support the 3 opt-out plan amendments. 77, Petitioners contend that the conservation neighborhoods were selected for that designation because they are environmentally sensitive, lowlands prone to flooding. However, an analysis of the final land use map in the Muskogee DSAP revealed that the conservation neighborhoods are mostly high and dry, like the Westmart property. And finally, number 120, jurisdiction is reserved for the undersigned to address any appropriate requests for attorney's fees, costs, and sanctions.
Okay, your time is up. Thank you very much, Mr. Wade. Elizabeth Westmark, you're recognized, followed by Frank. Oh, Frank. Well, we don't combine minutes, so he'll get 2 minutes. Oh, Frank first? Yep, absolutely. Frank, good evening. Thanks for being here tonight. Welcome.
Frank Westmark, 2025 West Kingsfield Road, representing the Owen family.
Put this down for you, Mr. Westmark. They're in front. Yes, sir.
That better? The opt-out case is essentially the same as the seven sector plan opt-outs that you have previously approved. No difference here. The Owen family owns 99.5 acres of land located north of Neal Road in Cantonment on US Highway 29. The adoption of the sector plan downzoned the Owen land from MUS to the severely restricted DSAP conservation neighborhood FLU that has a 3 density. The 50% rule embedded in the conservation neighborhood screws that down to actually about 1.5 dwelling units that you can build on the property. The DSAP regulations degraded the Owen property's value to the extent that it cannot be developed feasibly or sold for fair value. The Planning Board considered the legal sufficiency of this opt-out, including the opinion of council, plus the staff supporting data and analysis, and voted unanimously to recommend you approve it. If approved, the land will return to MUS where it was originally assigned by the 2030 Comprehensive Plan before the DSAP was adopted. All the allegations and arguments against these sector plan opt-outs have been thoroughly adjudicated through 2 extensive state hearings and 4 DEO final orders. This opt-out application is in compliance with the county's ordinances and applicable state statutes. We respectfully request your approval. Any questions?
No, sir. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your attention.
Yes, sir. Elizabeth Westmark, followed by Jacqueline Rogers.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you again. I'm Elizabeth Westmark, 2025 West Kingsfield. Of course, I support the Owen family's opt-out from the sector plan. It's been Frank and my honor to get to know this family, especially Mrs. Lucy Owen Parker, who is here this evening, all the way from Birmingham to fly the family flag. The Owen family land had its valuable mixed-use suburban land use right there on the county's only arterial highway, US 29, taken away and replaced without so much as a by your leave with the severely restricted DSAP conservation neighborhood future land use for no good reason other than to make it possible for the original development group to be upzoned from agriculture to a mix of high-density future land uses. This downzone land is a poster child for why an opt-out remedy was passed into law by the Florida legislature. As I expressed to the Planning Board last month, I have lived long enough to know that restoring something which has been broken is nearly impossible in this life. But you gentlemen have a remarkable opportunity tonight to begin the process of returning something precious to this multi-generational family that government took away, the value of their land, their legacy. And on a final quick note, a gentle reminder that this board voted unanimously last July, nearly a year ago, to remove the sector plan and work towards something honest and defensible for the people of District 5. I know everyone's plate is full with serious work. Removing the overlay in the right way takes time and a delicate touch. But until there is a sense of urgency and this dreadful thing is gone, the opt-outs will continue, costing citizens money and time to free their land from Sector Plan jail. Until then, if the county is challenged to yet another roughly $100,000 hearing on your opt-out process, I urge you to file a motion to dismiss with DOA and request reasonable attorney's fees and cost for the taxpayers of Escambia County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Westmark. Final speaker is Jacqueline Rogers.
Way to get personal with the land use issue. The Westmarks tried to sue me last time, but I do have a right to appeal these. Yes, it is in my backyard. Yes, there's already zoning allowing it as conservation neighborhood for 3 dwelling units per acre. So I'm not opposed to development. This opt-out request, if you receive the letter from Attorney Richard Grosso, is legally deficient. Neither the staff nor the applicant provided sufficient data and analysis to show what the effect of awarding 25 dwelling units per acre, which allows commercial uses, would be. What is the change? What is the effect on the remaining uses? Our properties, our neighborhood that border it are still in conservation neighborhood, and that's supposed to be a protective land use for natural resources. There are wetlands on there. The staff documented this in their staff analysis. There are wetlands, there are prime soils, there are protected species and plants in the area, but that's the only data they said. They didn't say what the effect of upzoning this to 25 dwelling units per acre would be. So with that data that they put in there in that report, to react appropriately according to what the statutes or the state statutes say, to react appropriately, you should deny this, because they didn't say that there was water capacity. In fact, the vice chair for the waterworks came and said they could not support this. So there is not water capacity. They also did not document that there will be access and obviously Highway 29 is fine, but Cedar Tree Road that is adjacent to it, that's the road they said that would have access. It is a dirt lane road, and the staff documented that it is a dirt lane road. So a land change must be supported by an analysis of the full impacts, the maximum density, intensity of uses, and your staff didn't do that. It's improper, and Attorney Grosso showed you the case law. Hopefully, Ms. Rogers was able to review that it's improper to limit your analysis to what the applicant says, because every applicant will tell you that no development is proposed until they sell it, and it's interesting that they called it a development group tonight. You have to do the analysis on what you're allowing, because you can always rezone at another time. Horace Jones's position is that he can wait until development review, and that is against 163.3177. There was no analysis on the character of the land. There was no analysis about the capacity of water facilities, road facilities, and other facilities. So I'm asking you to deny it. The analysis just wasn't done. The work-home ratio now with this opt-out has tipped out of balance with this change. No analysis to the loss of open space, and pure policy changes,
Jacqueline,
the landowner's desires, things like that.
Your time
Okay, I'm
has
just
expired.
finishing my statement. Those are not reasons.
Okay.
Those are not data and analysis, just because you guys want to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Final speaker is Eric Sharpland.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm here in support of this. These people, the Westmarks, have nothing against her. You know, she already tried this, and I went up there and talked with Cottage Hill Baptist Church. What is her deal against churches? I mean, this needs to stop. I mean, every time there's something she don't like, she wants to come down and delay it and use all these tactics, and then she's got her ECW site, you know, which she allows everything to slander y'all, attack y'all. And people who have tried to defend, you got an army that defends Doug on there, like they come marching. One lady tried to defend Mr. Kohler and they jumped all over this person. 20 people. It's almost like it's a legion. And I just don't know what her problem is, but this needs to stop. I mean, it's sad enough, but when you're going against the church and God, that's not very safe ground when
Mr.
you.
Chairman, this is not the subject before us.
Yeah, understood, but, okay, so what, we're talking about an
Yes,
opt-out.
yes, but what I'm saying is that she needs to stop harassing all these people, because every time she's been proven wrong, she gets sued and then it gets passed. So I just want to let you know I'm in support and of the Westmarks to get this thing approved.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. The chair would entertain a motion on the 545. That's the final speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to approve the 545.
Second.
Motion is second on the 545. Any
Comment, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm really not quite sure what the, there's this like weird passion about putting my Facebook stuff up on here. What I say on this podium, whether I pay on the dais, is what I say anywhere else, it's public or private. I do struggle with the collective impact of all of these, but the reality is that under the concept that one set of rules must apply to everybody all the time, at the point at which we opted out a property owned by a former commissioner who was actually a part of the process, it would be a gross miscarriage of mishandling of government to apply a different standard to landowners that were not involved. The sector plan system was set up so that large property owners would be able to curtail their rights on some of their land in order to have higher rights and privileges on other land.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
What we ended up doing with this one, and there was some nefarious activity and a whole lot of like well-intended activity, but we ended up curtailing the rights of citizens who were not involved in the discussion for the benefit of the rights of those who were involved. You cannot help but recognize that as fruit of the forbidden tree, and for that reason, I have to be able to support the opt-out.
All right. Any other discussions? Please vote on the 545. All right, gentlemen, the 545 passes unanimously. Next up, we got the, you want to set up the next one, Horace?
Yes, sir. This is to review and adopt an ordinance for the 2021-25 update for the 5-year capital improvement plan.
Fantastic.
To review and adopt.
And gentlemen, we've got a number of speakers on this one. Again, it'll be 2 minutes each. We'll go ahead and listen to the speakers first. Anita Geinert. Is she here? Okay, she's gone. Gail Roten. Is Gail still here? All right, Gail's gone. Deanna Ridleski. 2 minutes.
Good evening again. I'm here to speak about the 5-year schedule for capital improvements. I've been reading and trying to learn how all this plays out. The only thing I'm going to ask is that you consider to add more money to the budget, please, for stormwater drainage. I understand that the engineers are trying really hard to get some things moving for grants. The Lake Charlene project, which in turn will move again to Bridle Trail, which again will move it to Turtle Swamp. And we're the down people. We're on the last leg of it. So if you guys will add enough budget money, the the 1,700,000, there's nothing else in the columns for the next 5 years. So I think it needs to be raised.
Thank you. And just for your, because I asked questions about this as well, this is an initial 5-year plan, but we're not locked down to this. We can add to it. We can pull things from it. We just have to submit this report on a yearly basis. It's not the final, so there's always the opportunity to add more. And I know the gentleman to my right, they're all working on projects in their district, and I'm just going to talk about a project in my district that's very important to me. Pine Valley Estates, Dunaway Lane, Fritinger Drive, that's been languishing forever. And guess what? We're starting it. We're starting it this month.
Good.
It took a long time. It's way over budget, but we're going to help those families there. We finished the Floridian ditch. We had houses, literally, the backyards falling in the ditch. Staff worked, and we got that done.
Yes,
We're
sir.
doing a lot. We're working on your project, too. I've got people moving, but, there's just a lot of issues from a historic lack of planning and
Right.
some poor decisions in the past, and we're doing the best that we can. But, when y'all come here in the shirts, I don't want you to think that we're not listening to you. It's just we're all focused on a lot of different projects.
I understand.
But we hear you.
I'm glad that you are hearing us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Doug, you recognize?
Much along the lines of what the chairman just said, Ms. Radleski, you've got, we were very focused on Jones Swamp, Jackson Creek. That's where that's where we had bridges. When I came into office, that's where we had bridges knocked out. The infamous issues that we've had at Forest Creek Apartments, those kind of things. Those were our highest priorities, and we had to move upward from there. During the next season of service of whoever sits in this chair, the stormwater projects that District 2 is going to have to focus on are going to be right there on that line with District 1 and District 2. So I would ask you, as you talk to these men who want to sit in this chair and represent 1/5 of this county, how aware are they of these projects? And dig into the depth. Where's the money coming from? And dig into, how is that going, how does that dovetail with another project across a line that's only drawn on a map in David Stafford's office? That's the only place anybody cares about a district line. The water certainly does not care. And so as we've taken care of those projects, what I referred to as the core issues in the core of the district 8 years ago, now it comes into this area where that line between District 1 and District 2 has recently changed. Everything that gets done there over the next decade or so is going to require a District 1, District 2 cooperation. And you should really hold these guys to task before they get to sit in this chair for how they're going to address that.
That's a good point. Very good point. Next up, Shirley Tilney. Is Shirley here? Yep.
Good evening again. I'm the same as Dee. I just want to encourage that you add more money. Looking at this plan, our project's not on there. Renee Terrace isn't there. And yet we've had at least a dozen new houses built in the last 2 years. And at this rate, by the time 2026 comes around, my house is going to be buried in silt, dirt, and rocks. And it's all coming from the roads and across the street and all the new buildings and roads on both sides. I hope you have a nice conversation over there. Thank you. Yes, but I'm encouraging, add another project, add some more money to this. I mean, these problems the county caused by not enforcing their own rules, by not having your inspectors do their job. And now is the time that we have to...
Pause our time for a moment, please. I would simply say, that's a generalization. I mean, we have the land development code, but in the past, before there was zoning, a lot of things happened. Subdivisions in my district were built on swampland. That's what I'm dealing with. It's not that the county, did something. We haven't done anything. We're cleaning up a mess from the past. I just want to make sure you understand that. And I also, you had made a statement earlier that we don't hold developers to what they do. We do. We've had stormwaters fail in my district in Beulah, and we've shut them down. We've made them come back and fix them. That's something that we do. So I just want to make sure we don't have faux information put out. We get it.
I got that information from your people at the permit and inspection office.
Sometimes they try and get
Jeff, excuse me, what person's name did you get from the permit office and the inspection office? Who's the person?
Yeah, we don't want to throw staff under the bus.
Yeah, I'd like to know their name.
Hampton?
Who?
Jennifer Hampton? I don't.
Jennifer's the secretary. She wouldn't have got that from Jennifer.
I've got her name written down over there.
Because I like to know it, because I don't like people calling people's name.
Exactly.
That's not factual. So if you have a person's name, I want to dig into it. So, tell me the exact person's name and their position, because I want to look into it. Because I don't want staff going underneath the bus. They didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's in the permit inspection office. I've talked to a whole lot of people
I get
out
that.
there.
I talk to a lot of people every day. But specifically, what's the person's name?
Okay, I can give that to you.
Okay.
It's written down.
We can start. We'll start your timing, and I interrupted you, but I wanted to make sure I got that point across.
Well, that's fine. I just wanted to be sure that we put more money, more projects on here. No, not him.
Sorry.
Was Jennifer Hampton.
Yeah.
Jennifer said what?
She's the one that let me know that when you turn in the drawings
Right.
and have them approved, that you don't have to follow those. The builder does what they want, then they turn in the plans afterwards, and they just say, okay.
That's not true. I don't believe that. Wes, would you like?
Jennifer wouldn't say that.
No, she wouldn't. I don't believe that's true.
Commissioner, I was just going to say, I will absolutely dig into that and make sure I get the story right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'll look into it, but I
That's one of the things I got from her. I know her favorite response was, It met minimal building codes at the time it was done. It met minimal, and then I said, how do you know? How can that, I mean, how can it change? How can you approve this, and then they do this, and it's okay? She said, well, that's what happens as they go along. They do this, they make changes, and then they file the final at the very end.
And Shirley, you wanted me to listen to you, and I'm going to listen to you very clearly and then articulate very clearly to you. Jennifer is an administrative assistant that has nothing to do with codes and permits and those type of things. She is the administrative assistant to our building inspector. So I would think that she would not be giving out opinions, but if she did, I'd like to know that. I mean, because I want to, well, if we have an administrative assistant giving out opinions, I mean, that would be fundamentally a problem. But I know Jennifer well enough to know that I've dealt with her in my personal and my professional, and she's very careful to not give out opinions.
Absolutely, yes, I agree. But we'll look into it. We'll look into it. All right.
Yeah, but that's what I got, but from her and things from other people along the way. It just all fits. So, and other people have said, yeah, that's what happens. Because what do they call it? What did you call that rule? As-built rule? I didn't say it was a rule. Oh, well, as-built, I'm sorry. As-built something.
All right.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Fine.
Next up, Chris Kerb.
Good evening again. Well, I obviously want to talk about drainage. Actually, can I bring a video and get more time in public forum?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, you can bring a video. What do you want me to stop your time? You want to get a video?
No, I'm talking about next thing. Whatever. Rain. We had a little rain this past week. We also had 200 voters sign up for flood defenders, join flood defenders. And I don't like your list of capital improvement projects and the amount of money. Actually, I like the one that you sent out on the first agenda. This is the replacement sheet. It actually had $18.4 million for all 5 years for drainage. But when you add up the totals, it wasn't $18.4 million. There's about $30 million in discretionary funds, I understand. I don't have the exact numbers, but District 3 and 5 pretty much got roughly around $10 million. I think you should call it discretionary drainage funds, because Commissioner Bergosh, he's been spending his discretionary funds on drainage. Commissioner Bender, I'm sorry Grover spent all your money on Olive Road. It was a good project, though. Drainage improvements went in with it. We fixed a lot of drainage there. I have some other ideas, but I see them a little time ticking down. I think you ought to boost it. I know this is not a budget, this is a plan. I believe July 13th, when your budget comes up, you'll see me there.
All right, thanks, Chris. Next up, Melissa Pino, followed by Jacqueline Rogers.
Thank you, Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblets. Thank God my period of having to be Doug's watchkeeper is just about over. And as many of you on the dais will know, the last 4 years, I've poured through this list. I mean, really gone through the minutia of it on D2 projects and found so many irregularities, even a made-up project, just totally made up that was placeholding, fake grant money, moving monies around that you guys didn't know about. So sure, I haven't taken much of a look at it. So someone had better vet what he's got on here to make sure that it's okay. I'm really happy to see that at least there's some projected money going to the Lake Charlene Phase 2 bridle trail, which should have been where it started, because you fix that and you don't have to do the project that's not going to work in Lake Charlene, because you could put 1,000-foot wide pipe out of Lake Charlene, and when it hits the same choke point on the way to Jones Swamp, it ain't gonna do crap. So I'm glad there's some money in that slot. Don't know what the old Quarry Field area drainage is. I don't know if it's that mess that's, accumulating around Quarry Bridge, otherwise known as, the Golden Gate of the west side, and all of those cost runovers. But we are in serious trouble with drainage in the core of District 2. And to hear one more time that there's been much assistance there has not. So I agree with Doug. People need to be asking these D2 candidates, are they even paying any attention to this? Because there hasn't been anything to do to help those people at Forest Creek. That was bogus, that Quarry Bridge was going to solve that, and of course it didn't get solved. There's a lot of other stuff, but what I'm saying to staff and the commission is make sure this money in here is something that he even has access to, and that the plans are to put it to the projects that are in these slots. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jacqueline.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with, do we have anybody from engineering here? Who's over engineering?
Rob McCracken.
Rob, well, please. So have we not solved the problem? And Doug, I'd ask you, have we not solved the problem in Forest Creek? Are they still flooding? It's not my district, but it's of grave concern for me. Are they still flooding?
For Forest Creek, I mean, I understand that there are drainage issues there, just like there are in a lot of different places.
Well, I mean, I don't care about, but
I
are they
gotta tell you,
flooding?
I don't know the 100% answer to that. So if the problems persisted before and they persist now, I'm not sure. I can't answer that question for you. I'm sorry, but I can look into that.
And Doug, I get that, and it's no disrespect to you.
Right.
Wes, I have problems with that. I have problems with that answer. I have problems that people have flooded for 20 years, and I've sat here, and it's Doug's district. But every time I hear Forest Creek still flooding, I can't have engineers change in and out, and no one knows the answer. Either these people are flooding or they're not flooding. And if they're flooding, there has to be a solution for them. Unfortunately, poor people and people in those environments don't get the relief. So Doug, maybe you know, but I mean, it bothers me if people in Forest Creek are still flooding, and it bothers me, Wes, if staff doesn't know that answer. It really bothers me.
I certainly understand that, Commissioner. It is my understanding that this flooding in Forest Creek has reduced immensely. It is not nearly as reoccurring as it was previously to some of the projects on Old Quarry Field Road. As I will say all the time, those large rain events, if you're going to get 24, 25 inches of rain in 24 hours, I'm not going to guarantee that they won't flood at that point, but I do believe it has been greatly improved there in Forest Creek.
All right, and I get it. I mean, excuse me, Doug. And the reality of it, to my colleagues, is that was military housing that our military people were moved out of because it was flooding. And you put poor people of color in there to allow them to continue to be flooding. And multiple times, they continue to flood. It's not my district, but quite frankly, it's people that look like me, that are my friends, family, and people that I know, and they continue to flood. And so we had an opportunity to relocate, and for whatever reason, Doug, we didn't. But I mean, I'm not going to continue, I'm not going to hear without articulating my position if people there are flooding. And so I'm good if our engineering staff that we pay says they're not flooding. That's good. But tell me they don't know, that's unacceptable. And if they are flooding, that's unacceptable. If they're not flooding, then I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
And so, I mean, I don't care what it is. I mean, those people deserve to have some relief.
So, Mr. Chairman,
go
if I
ahead,
may?
Doug.
Every single time that we have a significant rain event, Jonathan and I are out in the neighborhood. And one of the first places we always go is Forest Creek. The standard for Forest Creek was to get to a point where the carpets in the apartments didn't get wet. Okay, to be honest with you, if the carpet in the office gets wet, that's on the developer, and I don't particularly care. Okay, but for the personal property of the individuals who live there to not be in danger during a rain event. Since we opened the bridge, the new bridge at Old Quarry Field Road, we have not had carpet wet in people's apartments there. And I'm there every single time, traipsing around. The day that, as the chairman, I signed the bond for our new jail, I was barefoot sitting up there doing it because I had just walked through that neighborhood, soaking wet. So that's every time, and I mean, actually, in the last couple of times that we've had storms, I haven't called you. Usually, up until until recently, you and I were texting and working to make sure that that all the county resources were available for those folks. The reason that I hadn't had to text you lately is because when we have big rain events, Forest Creek, the people are safe in their homes. Now, they're still smart enough to know that they need to move their cars up to the front of the road. I look forward, maybe there will come a time in Escambia County when we're so far ahead of flooding issues that we can start worrying about parking lots. But we can't worry about parking lots until we have got it to the point where our citizens are not losing their wealth due to storms, whether that be at Forest Creek or whether that be in Lake Charlene. It's got to be about keeping the homes safe. Yards are going to flood, roads are going to flood, and I can't see us spending our energy on yards and roads and keeping those from flooding before we take care of homes and people's living rooms, kitchens, and bedrooms from flooding.
And Doug, to that, that's the only answer I was looking for. I want someone to go on record that tell me that the filtration is great, that the flooding has been eliminated, and when it rains, it's not going to go to those people's house. I'm not an engineer, I'm not, any of those things. So, if someone goes on record, you've gone on record. I wanted our professional staff to go on record because if it rains and someone calls me, and you have been very gracious to be there every time. I publicly say that. I mean, you have been a great commissioner for being out there. When I go out there, I want to be able to look people in their eyes and say the professionals told me it's not going to flood. That's all I wanted to hear. And so if that's what we're saying, then I'm good, and we'll address it at the next rain issue.
Well, I'll reiterate what the administrator said. In a major rain event, 25 inches in 24 hours, I mean, that destroyed my house out on the Key. It's going to destroy a lot of things, and in something like that, we will. But just last week, we had, I believe it was 6 inches of rain in a very short period of time.
But I'm not going to compare the inland to the coastal area, Doug. I'm not. I mean, if it floods on the Key or floods on the beach, it's quite different from it flooding on the inland. I mean, that's an unfair comparison. So when people are living in an area housing in a bowl, you can't compare it to somebody that's living on the water. That's just unfair. And let me just tell you, here's the reality of it. If Perdido Key is flooding or Pensacola Beach is flooding, we will allocate as much money as possible to eliminate their problems. And so these people, although they don't have the political influence, although they don't have this, I'm supporting you. It's your district. Find the solution for the people. I mean, get them out the bowl, or figure out how we help them. I mean, they've cried out over and over and over and over. And so, here's what happens, Doug. The reality of it, we change engineers every 3 years. Everybody comes, nobody knows the calculation, do another study. But quite frankly, people live in poverty generation after generation after generation. They continue to live there, and they continue to flood, and they can't rebuild like you and I. When they get flooded because they don't have renter's insurance, all this stuff is lost, and they have to depend on American Red Cross and Salvation Army, and they have to start rebuilding their lives because they got flooded because of rain. And that is a systemic problem that has plagued your district, our community, a long time. And so I'm not in an adversarial role with you. You supported me in everything that I've tried to do for the disadvantaged. I'm simply saying that to support you. So I'm not here to argue. But those people don't deserve it. I mean, they've lived there. People have lived in Warrenton Village, Forest Creek, and quite frankly, here's what happened, Doug. If you want to peel back the onion, quite frankly, it was not good enough for military people who were not of the minority community, and they moved them out, and they put the minority community in there because nobody else wanted to live there. And so, it's continued to flood since then. And so I think it's far past time that we identify the problem, seek the solution, and whatever it costs, we provide it. I'd love to do it before you get off this dais and give you my support.
And the great thing is, Commissioner May, you can actually take a victory lap on it because you've already done it. Because the conversation you and I are having right now, you can go through 8 years of video on this dais and see us having this exact same conversation. And I will tell you, though, in that 8 years, we have spent more money, this board has spent more money on stormwater and flood prevention within 2.5 miles of that apartment complex than anywhere else in the district, and possibly anywhere else in the county, with the possible exception of that Olive Road project, which was so big. But I mean, that's where we put our money where our mouth is. So all this talking you and I have done, this board has put our money where our mouth is, and really resolved that issue. Beach Haven, Warrington, Brownsville, these are the places we have to solve, and that's where the attention has been. And quite frankly, I'm very proud of what we've done. Because like I said, 6 inches of rain or so the other day, you don't see it in the P&J. You know, the pictures of the folks in the John boats and our firemen bringing them out in the John boats, hadn't seen that in a few years, have you? We haven't seen that because we did the work we did on, Mr. Chairman, can you stop the chatter?
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
really.
Let's be respectful.
Because of the work that we've done, you're not seeing those headlines, and I can assure you the P&J would put it right there front and center. So while I recognize, and certainly it's important that you be able to address the color issues, for me...
It ain't about color, man, it's about people.
It's about people 100%.
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
about
matter
people.
because the loss of wealth to a flood instance, whether it happens in Lake Charlene or to a elderly couple on a fixed income, or whether it happens to a young family trying to get started and build their wealth and living in Forest Creek, that kind of a loss sets you back years. Years. And it impacts for the kids growing up in that environment, it impacts their abilities and their opportunities. So yeah, we've hit those things, we've knocked them out. You haven't seen families having to be brought out of that apartment complex in a John boat for a number of years now, and it's because of the project that we did on Old Quarryfield Road.
And that's good. And Doug, certainly, I appreciate it. And, you know, I always want the expert opinion. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And so that's why I would ask the engineer. I mean, we're politicians. I mean, you know, we're not the experts. And if staff tells me that it's good, it's good. I'm a practical guy. You know what? I got kids that play ball for me. When they said the only time we go swimming is when it rains in Forest Creek, well, that's fundamentally a problem. But if they're telling me that it's not a flooding issue, as you said, I'm good. Because what I'm going to do is go talk to Wes when it rains, when people are flooding. And if people put their jobs, their careers, and their reputation on the line and tell me it's not happening, I'm good. But you know what? I have no reason to refute anything that Melissa has said. She's never lied to me. And so if she said that it's still flooding out there, and I'll tell you, Laura tells me that it's still flooding out there, and I'll tell you, Tammy tells me it's still flooding out there. If they say that, you know, I have reason to believe, but I have a reason to believe you too. You said you hadn't been out there because you've called me every time. I just want to make sure that we address these issues. There's certain things we need to get off the table before you leave. And Forest Creek would be, to me, a win for you, a win for me, a win for all of us if we make sure that we're doing everything that we can to eliminate. If we have to tear it down, I don't care. Tear it down.
We ain't
It's in a
tearing it
bowl.
down because we're not going to lose those vouchers. Lumen, if we lose those vouchers, those will go to a city like Atlanta. That developer will take those vouchers and we will lose those low-income units here in Escambia County. We cannot afford to tear it down and give that developer the opportunity to take that federal assistance that we cannot decouple from him.
Right.
And take that stuff somewhere else.
And Doug, I don't want to go. I mean, the time is far spent. And I understand exactly what you're saying, that maybe it's not flooding their carpet that will be the responsibility of the developer. But when the only new car you buy is because you get an income tax return and you pay $35 to the used car person and the parking lot floods and it floods my car, I mean, those are life-changing experiences for people. And so, you know, if my car gets flooded, I can't get to work, I lose my job. And we say, oh, your house didn't flood, but the parking lot flooded. Or the kid's bike and the grill flooded. I mean, the quality of life is important. I mean, we spend a whole lot of money talking about the quality of life for all citizens. And all I would say to you, because it's your district, if they flooded the parking lot of Casino Beach, Robert would be up in uproar and we'd have people down here. If they flooded Gaborone, if they flooded Perdido, if it flooded that, people would raise holy chaos. All I'm saying, we got to treat the least of them like the best of them. And so if that's happening, if you're saying it's cured, I'm going, but if you're saying you need support before you go, I'm just offering that support. Doug. That's all I'm doing. I'm not here to argue with you, but if it's cured, it's
certainly not an
cured.
argument.
You
I
got my
consider it a
support.
debate and discussion.
Figure out what you need, and you got to vote.
And
that's
we've
what I'm
done
telling
it,
you.
and I'm very proud of it. But we also keep in mind now, there always has to be a personal responsibility element of this. When I know there's a storm event coming out in my life in Perdido Key, I park my car at up on high land. Folks, if you live in Escambia County and there's a rain coming and you know you're in a low-lying area, this is a personal responsibility aspect of living here. And the folks in Forest Creek are very good about this. They're very good about it, especially if they know they got new neighbors. They go and talk about it. I know this because, like, literally every time it rains, Jonathan and I are in there walking around. So, you know, we can't, personally, I'm not going to be starting to focus on parking lots while we've still got homes flooding.
I agree.
That's where we've
I
got to
agree.
stay.
Well,
And
yeah,
certainly with my 150 days or so I got left, that's where my attention's going to continue.
And I agree with you. I mean, but let me tell you, when you don't have means and methods and opportunity, I mean, you can't say, oh, well, you move your car to a high ground. You know what you do? You move it to a dang high ground, and they tow your dang car off. You know what? Y'all bull crap. I mean, no, bull crap. I mean, and that's the reality of what happens. Those people don't have that opportunity, and I get it. You know, move your car. I mean, how do you get there? Listen, I get it. In an emergency situation, this is a systemic problem. So how long do I have to move my car? For my grandmother's generation, my mother's generation, and my children's generation, they shouldn't have to move it in perpetuity. We should be seeking solutions. And, you know, those solutions should be there. I mean, we have the opportunity to do something. You mean to tell me that we can't take a bowl of water and filtrate it and make it where people can park and live and be healthy? I mean, it's a psychological and systemic effect of the intellect, Doug, that happens to children when they wake up in the morning and they're flooding.
But Lumen, if you live near the coast, that is
they're
part
not
of
on
our
the,
life.
They're not on the coast.
They are absolutely on the coast. They're only 6 feet. The parking lot there is less than 6 feet above sea level of Bayou Chico.
The Star Lake flood?
Pardon me?
The Star Lake flood?
Star Lake flood's like mad. Yes, absolutely. And Perdido and Lake Charlene and every place else in the southwest sector. We're a swampland. So it's a very much a reality, as you've seen from the flood defenders that come. I mean, and that's, I mean, they're a very diverse group of, you know, whether it be by color or by financial resources. Yes, we are a very low-lying county. There will always be that risk. I worry as I look at our census that has gone up, you know, what, 30,000 people in the last 10 years. The ability to get off this coast and away from a storm has not improved in that time. So where are we going to keep putting all these people as we keep trying to bring more people into the community? I don't see how that's good for us. I especially don't see how it's good for the minority community. If we don't solve those systemic problems within our community, growing the community just grows the problem as well.
Right.
So, you know, clearly, you know, like I said, we've been, and it's funny because anybody looking at this from the outside may think we're arguing. This is how we talk.
Yeah, no, we're
I mean,
good.
We
have to reprioritize what's important.
Right. Well, and I tell you what, that's Brownsville septic to sewer. That's got to be next. We got to move that ball. That ball should have been moved 5 years ago. It's taken so long. That's where the Brownsville and Warrenton, you still got commercial sector on septic tank.
No. And I get it. And obviously, Doug, there will be problems to solve once you and I both are off this dais. I'm not going to be here very long after you leave. But, I mean, there are systemic problems that we have to address, whether it's the Superfund site, which is bad for me, whether it's the jail, or whether it's Forest Creek for you. I remember it was Warrenton Village. I remember all those things. But I know that, you know, the people need help there. And you know what? For me to get to this point with a new commissioner, it's going to take years to where I am with you to understand it.
You know what
and
we
that's
gotta
why
do?
I would love to solve it.
Yeah, when me and you are both off here, we ought to have us like an undebate in Brownsville.
I love it.
just go totally unload on everything.
I don't mind debating. I want to debate with Chris Kerr right now. I mean,
Mr. Chairman,
before we go to World of Beer. Come on, Chris.
I appreciate you giving us the time.
Sure, yeah. Well, sometimes you got to have these extracurricular conversations.
No, I just wanted my position to be, and Doug, I'm just, you know my position when we moved, and Chips knows it, and Tim knows it. You know, yeah, I would have accepted the money. I didn't want to lose the vouchers, but I just say those people, you know, I'm not going on any statistical data from what Mel said. I'm going on what's practical for the people that I know that live in Warrenton that always tell me, you know, and they say you come out, Doug, but they always say, Commissioner, we're flooding. And, you know, and that's why I asked the question to our engineer, who went on record and said, listen, I just don't know. And so, I mean, if you know, you know. But I certainly want to hear from our experts to tell me that they know what the water calculations are. And so I'm good.
Right on.
I mean, Chris, I know you know all the calculations.
Chris knows all the calculations. Right on. Jacqueline. No. Chris, I'm not calling you up, man. We're calling Jacqueline Rogers up. She signed up. All right, you're recognized 2 minutes.
Thank you. I just want to say that I am a flood defender also in our neighborhood. One of the reasons why we're concerned about the upzoning when you opt out of the sector plan is because my neighbors flood. One of my neighbors has a culvert that drains in between the two properties and it goes nowhere. The staff said in their analysis that there's regional stormwater systems in that area, or that there should be, and that's what the design was, but you guys haven't constructed anything. After the 2014 floods, you had the SWAT team, the Stormwater Advisory Team, and they gave you a report. They would take $400 million over the next 5 years to do those things. What percentage are you devoting in this capital improvement plan to stormwater? It's not enough. And if you look in the faces of the people who have been flooded over and over again, who don't have the use of their property, it's not just in my district, it's in District 3, Monarch Place. You guys have heard all the stories. You say flooding is a priority. Your priority is where you put your money. And I ask you to just put more money towards protecting flooding, especially as you upzone and do everything for the developers. You're going to have more problems, so you've got to keep up with the stormwater. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No further speakers.
Jeff, and Doug, to finish this conversation, and I won't be long. I mean, and Doug, here's my issue. We had a constitutional office to move out the Warrenton floodplain out of Forest Creek. We did. I mean, really, because we kept getting flooded. And so, I mean, if it's good enough for government, I mean, it got to be good enough for people. And so, I mean, the reality of it is, you know, we have to, in our ability, do for the least of them that we do for the most of them. And so, and that'll be the end of this conversation, Doug, but I would just, if you're saying they're good, I mean, I'd love for you to just follow up, validate, and bring that back. But if you find that you need my support before you get off this podium, let me know and you'll have my support.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, your your actions over the last 7 years are more powerful than any words that you could say now with regard to that. I will say that the commercial building that our constitutional officer moved out of is now occupied by another tenant, and their property is not flooding. That is because the constitutional officer moved out before the bridge was complete at Old Quarryfield Road. And now the Walmart, that building there, and the restaurant, the car wash, all operating and not seeing the levels of loss that they were prior to that going in.
And I take that with complete confidence, Commissioner, but guess what happened? The Constitution had the ability, because of taxpayer dollars, to move out. The poor people that were on public assistance didn't have the ability to move out.
Yep, and we took care of them instead.
Okay, very good. Chair would entertain a motion on the 546. Okay, we got a motion.
Second.
Motion and second, please vote. There we go. All right. We snuck that one in on you after all the talking. All right. That passes unanimously. Okay, Horace, your last item?
Was 547 to review and adopt. This is for a crushing permit for Scammon County landfill.
No speakers? Chair
Move the 547.
Second. Motion is second on the 547. Please vote. There it is. Boom. All right, that passes unanimously. Okay, moving forward.
540 is the GMR action item, final plat for Commander's Cove.
Commander's Cove, we have no, I don't believe we have any speakers. Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move the item A and B.
Second.
Motion is second on the item. Please vote. GMR 21 passes unanimously.
Then we have a consent agenda for July the 14th, consent agenda.
Okay, and it looks like we have no
Move the
speakers.
consent agenda.
Second.
Motion is second on the consent agenda. Please vote. Oh, Commissioner Bender.
Yeah, sorry. Did we correct those this morning? Because aren't those for the meetings that we've already moved?
Did we correct them? I don't know. Did,
Okay.
so are we good with that? Everyone
It
good?
doesn't say the 7th anymore?
No.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, so go ahead and vote. And that passes unanimously. All right, very good. Wes? County Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 12 items on the technical public service consent agenda. Please hold car 1-11 for speakers.
Okay, Chair would
Move the balance.
Okay, motion and second on the balance, please vote. Lumen?
Mr. Chairman, what are we voting on the,
We're holding number 11, the National Naval Aviation reopening. Everything else is, we're passing it. Did you want to hold something?
I want to hold number 19, but I think,
That's next.
next, car 2, yeah, all right, that's fine. Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, so. Balance of car 1 passes unanimously. Now we're at car 111. Robert, that's your item? We have 2 speakers. You want to hear from them? Okay, Melissa Pino, 2 minutes.
This is so dangerous. Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblets. And Commissioner Bender, I don't know if you've seen my online remarks on this on Rick's blog. I do not intend to insinuate that you have any inclination or desire or you think any of this could possibly end in any of the functions on that base. I am not saying that those are your intentions. However, this is careless, reckless, dangerous to mess around like this and bring on a potential BRAC or even partial closing. One of the first things I heard moving to Navy Point from the old timers there about the base was, well, you know, every few years the developers get going because they'd love to turn that into a military star island. They'd love to make it a tourist attraction. We made peace with the possibility that we could be losing some function on that base when Commissioner Underhill started talking about all the cutters that were moving in. It's a possibility. So just please tread lightly because, Robert, if anything happened, I don't think you or the military families that seem to me like they've gotten roped into this would want your faces associated with action that could bring on even a partial closing. I understand the situation about the cemetery. It's horrible. I hope that can get worked out for people. But I see Jerry Maygarden throwing around numbers that he seems like he's pulling out of who knows where on the jobs right now. What's the number of jobs that we'd lose, Chairman Burgash?
It's a lot, thousands, more than 10,000.
14,000, I think.
Number, yeah.
So we need that base. Just tread lightly.
Kevin Wade?
Kevin Wade, 413 Southeast Boblets. The day I was born, the USS Mars was commissioned. I served aboard the Mars for many years. A couple decades ago, they drug her out into the Pacific and taught 7 nations how to sink U.S. Navy vessels that were no longer in service with torpedoes, missiles, guns. While on the Mars, we were often stationed out of Alameda Naval Air Station. And Alameda was a thriving, hopping place when the base was in full swing. But BRAC walked through some point, and the Alameda that I knew turned into kind of a ghost town for decades. You have some people up on the dais who grew up watching Mythbusters happening on a fallow air base. That's kind of cool. Oh, I miss it. Looking at the plans of putting a road through and giant fences. Friends who work on Tyndall say, we hate the fences. This messes with our lives. This messes with our mission. I look at this and say, there's so much about this that is not a Disney expressway in any way, does not seem to be something that is nearly Pensacola-like in any way. There may be answers. The plans I've seen are not pretty.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, that's all the speakers. Commissioner May?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Commissioner Bender, I appreciate you tabling it and bringing it back. I had the opportunity over the last couple weeks between the meetings to speak to a number of individuals, and so I'm much more comfortable now than I was then. I do want to make a public statement that, you know, these decisions for NAS Pensacola in terms of access are not made locally. So I do worry that the citizens will construe, you know, this action negatively toward the sailors. They're on the base, and I just hope that that's not the case. I mean, I think everyone wants what's best, but at the end of the day, the decision gets made, you know, at a much higher level, and they base their decisions on, you know, mission requirements and things of this nature. And yeah, someone who I just feel fortunate to have been out there 17 years. I enjoy working there as a contractor employee, supporting the mission. And, you know, I never want to do anything that would harm it, but I do believe sending the letter to the higher headquarters could be helpful. So I'm certainly going to support it. And, you know, again, having that extra time to make some calls and speak to some people, because I certainly didn't want to do anything that would, you know, jeopardize what's going on out there. We really need that base in Escambia County. It's a big deal. So with that, the Chair would entertain a motion. Or Doug, I'm sorry, did you want to?
Go ahead, take the motion.
Okay.
Second.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second on that. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the concerns that I expressed the last time this came up are exactly the same concerns that I have today, and for the same reason, I would not be able to support this board trying to provide or to influence decision-making that, as you so clearly said, should focus only on preparing our men and women to go fight and win wars.
Right.
So I'll be voting in dissent.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Yeah,
Commissioner
so,
Bender? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do anything that could adversely affect this. I would say there are a number of military personnel, former military, retired rather, that are leading this charge, and they don't want to see anything happen to the base either.
Sure.
You know, as we did hear from Senator Scott the other day, this is more about letting the brass, making them care, letting them know how the community feels, and that's what this does. This is just as the military has sent us letters, has sent the school board letters, asking for change and to consider certain topics. That's what we're doing with this letter, and that we support the possibility. With that being said, this Saturday, June 4th, they're to test their preparedness and make sure that they're training on being able to allow visitors on the base. The public will have access to the base this Saturday, June 4th. So go out, enjoy the museum, go visit a loved one that might be out there, tour Fort Barrancas, and enjoy the opportunity, because that's, again, it's something that we've all been able to enjoy before. It is part of our community, and again, we wouldn't want to do anything that could harm this mission, current mission, or future missions. But again, it's up to them to decide if both can coexist.
Yep, very good, very good. All right, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion, please vote. All right, the item passes 4-1 with Commissioner Underhill voting in dissent. All right, CAR 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 32 items on the Budget Finance Consent Agenda. Please make the following changes. Please drop CAR 2-15 and CAR 2-16. Hold the recommendation, hold CAR 2-31. Concerning a discretionary funding allocation for the Escambia County Sheriff's Foundation to allow D1 and D3 to add funding.
Okay.
And hold CAR 2-5 for a speaker. Car 2-31 for a speaker, and Car 2-19 for Commissioner May.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Administrator, why are we dropping 15 and 16?
We have some time, date issues that we need to correct on the recommendations.
They're contractual issues. In one case, the contract is about to expire, so there are just some legal issues that needed to be tweaked.
We're going to re-procure both contracts.
And I mean, forgive me, we hadn't talked about this. Are we sure that now is the time to re-procure the contracts?
Yes, we are sure.
15 and 16.
All right, Chair would entertain a motion on the balance, unless there's,
So moved.
yep, okay, so,
Move the balance in the affirmative.
okay, so we got, Steve made the motion, so Doug.
Oh, I'm sorry, the second.
Second it, okay, so we got a motion and a second on the balance. Any other questions about this?
What'd you hold for me?
You want to, Wes, just run through the list again. We're going to run through the list again.
Drop car 2-15 and 16.
Okay.
Hold car 231 concerning a discretionary funding allocation for the Escambia County Sheriff's Foundation to allow D1 and D3 to add funding. Hold car 2-5 for a speaker, car 2-31 for a speaker, and car 2-19 for Commissioner May.
Thank you very much. You good with that, Commissioner May? Yes.
Second stands.
Motion is second on the balance. Please vote. All right. All right, there we go. The balance passes unanimously. Okay, so let's go back to 2-5. And we have speakers on 2-5, one speaker, and that would be Melissa Pino.
Last one, thank you, Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblitz. I just wanted to mention that I get nervous when I see environmental specialists, and I know that there's a really general write-up in the backup as to what the money for the environmental specialist is going for, and it does include in one of the categories maintenance. I really hope that there isn't going to be some bogus attempt to try to assess that project in Navy Point and pretend like it's working. And the reason I'm a little sensitive, and other people who don't want this project are sensitive to this environmental specialist issue, is that after Robert Turpin told CHIPS that he needed $400,000 to even think about doing the project right, and then he came back with another email and said actually probably closer to $5 million, and they ran it on a grant of $180,000. If memory serves, and I am pulling from memory, they then sucked another $40,000 out of that 180 and gifted it to 3 anonymous environmental specialists. Don't know for what. Wetland Sciences had already drawn the project up. I was interested to hear Mr. Kirschenfeld mention a coastal engineer that had designed the project. I could be ignorant of that, but I would love to know what the name of that coastal engineer was. We don't know, because I put in a public records request 3 years ago for the financials and for everything on this project. And through 2 successive administrations, I've been blocked on my public records request. To this day, I don't know who those environmental specialists were or what they got paid for on a project that was completed on a minimum budget, and then they took a giant chunk of it for environmental specialists. So hope it's clearly defined what that chunk of change is going for.
All right, very good. That's the last speaker on item number 5. Chair would entertain a motion.
Move the item.
Second.
Motion and second on 2-5. Please vote. Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill off the dais. Do we need a motion to drop 15 and 16, or is that not necessary? We did? Okay, we're good with that? All right. 219, we're up. Is that next?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Claire or Wesley, it doesn't matter. We already have 4 lots designated for affordable housing. And so I don't see why we wouldn't put those in AHAC and drop 4 and 5 and add the 2 lots that we're already building on. You can do that? So what 2 addresses will we use?
I'm sorry.
Which 2 will we use? It doesn't matter to me, but it's already there. We're building there.
We can use.
At least I thought we were till tonight.
Yeah, we can use the ones on G Street.
G.
Yes,
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we drop St. Mary Street and RP and put the 2 lots on G Street to add to the appropriate affordable housing lots for AHAB.
Will we need any more specific information than that for the motion? I mean, will we need like the street? I'm just making sure that it's going to.
I know Claire could provide that. I mean, I can't provide it.
Yeah.
Her.
Could you just give us the street addresses?
Yes, sir.
So
I
the
think-
clerks can take it?
I don't want to misquote it, but I think it's 1021 and 1015, but I'll be for sure.
So 10, 21, 10, 15, if we have to bring it back, you can bring it back.
Yes.
Okay. And so you're taking the ones.
Yeah, I'm taking them, because we already have 4 lots designated. We just got to put these as a part of the statute.
Is that motion clear enough for you, Delana?
Yes, sir, I think so. So we're dropping the St. Mary Street and the North P Street and adding 2 addresses on G Street instead to the exhibit of the resolution, correct?
Absolutely, Diane. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
The motion stands, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do we have a second? I'll second it. Okay, never mind. All right, Steven seconds it. Everyone seconds it. All right. We got a motion and a second. Please vote.
Thank you, Claire.
You got
Claire,
seconds?
can you just get with the clerk and make sure the addresses are correct, please? Thank you.
So here's a question, Delana. Who seconded that motion?
I had you as the second,
Okay,
Mr.
good.
Chairman.
All right, good. As long as we got it done. All right, next up, 231. I'm going to make oh, we have a two. Well, let's hear from the speaker first. Let's see. Our speaker tonight for 231 is Stan McDaniels. Looks like he left the area. Stan McDaniels. Okay, no speaker. All right, Lumen, you're going to add 1,500. I'm adding 1,500.
Yes, sir.
All right. So that's what we're going to do.
I'll move the item, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion is second for that item with the addition of 1,500 from Commissioner May and 1,500 from myself.
Got to make the sheriff happy.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. All right, please vote.
You're really getting this over with quick tonight, yeah.
Well, we got kind of in the weeds a little bit. It's still early.
Still early. Oh, yeah, for a Thursday. He's gone. It don't matter. Yeah, let's go. We got it. We're good. Close it. Let's go, Jeff.
All right, well, we got 3 votes.
Yeah, you got 3 votes.
Sorry, I'm not sure if Commissioner Berry has to vote since he's on he's here.
Commissioner Berry, would you like to vote?
All right, well, we got a 4th. Okay, it looks like we're going to have everyone voting. It's getting close
Well,
to. All right, now we're going to have I think we're going to have a 5. All right, that passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to go back when it was just some board discussion.
Yes, sir.
But again, just so we don't have any issues with the minutes. So the item 16 that was related to the road materials pricing agreement.
Yeah, 15 and 16 we dropped.
Yeah, we dropped them, but there was also comments made about reprocuring.
Mhm.
The intent is, I think we're going to at least make an effort to bring an amendment back to the next board meeting rather than reprocuring the item. It doesn't seem like, if we're able to bring an amendment back with, with maybe an extension of that contract, that may be a more sound financial situation than trying to reprocure road materials pricing agreement right now.
Right.
So that's, doesn't take any motion, but just since the board did discuss it briefly.
That's good.
So, Wes, do you understand that's what we're, okay, all right. So I think we're good, Stephen. All right, I think we're up to.
Up to the discussion item, Commissioner?
Yes, sir, discussion item.
An update to our vacation policy.
Okay, we have no speakers on that. Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move this, and if you'd entertain my add-on after this, that'd
Yep,
be, I'd
let's do that. We'll do
appreciate
this one, and then we'll do yours. Okay, so we got a motion on CAR 3, item 1. Second. Motion and a second, please vote. All right, the new policy passes unanimously. Okay, Commissioner Berry, you're recognized for your item.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to move that we rescind an action and discussion. I mean, we're rescinding an action from a committee of the whole, but I guess still rescind the statement from discussion at committee of the whole, where the board asked the staff to bring back an item to the board for approval via consent agenda anytime funds are moved from personnel to another area of department's budget, and thereby allowing personnel dollars to be reallocated to operations or capital, as long as it goes through the budget office as well as the administrator's office.
Okay, and, you know, our discussion today, I'm in support of that, based upon, you know, what we discussed today. Would you like us to take a motion in a second and make a formal vote on that?
It appears that that's necessary, yes, sir.
Okay, all right, well, so is that your motion? Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on Stephen's motion. Please vote. Is that, Delaney, you good on that? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I would hope that works. That was my clear direction.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think
as I said, I take direction well.
it's formalized now. All right, it passes unanimously, well, 4-0 with Commissioner May off the dais. So, all right, Allison, you're up.
Certainly, I'm just asking the board to accept the one information item. This is the update on the small claims cases you guys have had us doing.
Move the county attorney's report as presented.
Okay, motion and a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. All right, county attorney's vote, report passes unanimously with Commissioner May off the dais. All right, anything else for the good of the order?
I just want to be clear on the calendar going into June and July, because I know that having a son that's a senior, that I'm not here a lot for June and July, so.
You want to take a look real quick?
I just want to make sure that, you know, we have a quorum in what our meetings are. I know there was a question this morning about Commissioner Bender.
Last one, right?
Huh?
That's the last one.
It's the last one, so I'm maybe missing meetings. So I'd love to be here, but I'd try to work around the schedule, so. just wanted to-
Anybody who would be against you missing meetings for that purpose is probably somebody whose opinion you wouldn't mind matter anyway.
Yeah, won't matter.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Well, I'm kind of a little long ranger.
Lumen, what I'm showing here is that we've got a 9 o'clock committee of the whole on the 9th of June, a week from today. Then we've got on the 16th, we've got the public forum at 8:30. And then our meeting directly after on the 16th. And then we're closed on the 20th for Juneteenth. I don't see, let me see here. I don't see anything else the rest of June. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is anyone looking?
So we're 9 and 16 for
That's what I
June.
had.
Because we do have FAC, Robert, correct?
Yep.
And when is FAC?
It is June 28 to July 1.
Okay, so 28th, there's a PEDC meeting.
Are you running for anything, Robert?
I've asked to be, you know, I was the co-chair or the vice chair of the Finance and Tax Committee. So I've, of course, put my name into the hat to either be a vice chair or chair again this year, but the committees have not come out yet from the
Is there a
incoming-
proxy, or will we vote, or just the executive
No, sir, it's
committee?
just the incoming president.
Okay, well, you'll have my support.
All right, moving into July. Looking for, I don't see anything on the 7th because we've canceled it. We've got a meeting on the 14th, morning meeting, 8:30 public forum.
Budget workshops on the 12th and 13th?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we got the budget workshop at 9 o'clock on the 12th and
The 13th.
the 13th.
And I'm sure the chairman will get it all over with on the 12th.
Yeah, we're gonna try and, you know, I'm not really necessarily wanting to sit here all day.
Cool.
We're gonna try and streamline that, but yes,
It's budget cuts. Not a lot of outside agency funding.
yeah, that's right. 12th and 13th, okay, and then we've got
14th is a board meeting, so we're doing 12th, 13th, and 14th. Okay.
12, 13, 14, and then the following week, I don't see anything on the agenda. I'm sorry, the 19th, I've got agenda review on the 19th.
And the board meeting.
And a board meeting right after. Okay?
Or it would just be public forum at 8:30 and then board meeting.
8:30 in the board meeting, and then the rest of the month,
And then facts after that on the 21st, correct, Robert?
NACO.
NACO. All right, got it.
okay, the 28th, there's nothing on the 28th, is that correct?
We decided this morning that that is.
28th is, so 28th is
I have
gone.
MPOAC.
Okay, but we were going to do something on the 28th public. We were
But
gonna-
that's council, I just want to confirm.
That's
We got
canceled?
to meet on the 14th and the 19th of July.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay, that works.
all right.
All right.
That's good that we,
Audrey, did you get all that? Great.
all right, anything else for the good of the order? We're adjourned.